All right, hello one, hello all. Welcome on in for a fresh edition of Wide World of Electronic Sports. I am joined here by your boy Rodney Conyers Jr. How you feeling, Rod?
I can't really complain, man. I'm feeling better now that we get to sit down and talk some gaming. It's been too long, even though I know it's only been a week. But, dude, in the world of gaming, but specifically esports, a lot happens in 7 days, man. And this show is going to prove people exactly why. Denny, how you feeling, man?
I'm feeling pretty good. That is indeed big facts. A lot can happen in a couple days, as you can tell by our lineup. We got plenty of things to dive into, but I'm feeling fairly well, pretty good for the most part. Can't complain. But yeah, we can dive right in. And one of the topics that you are definitely a specialist in, you might see this man also on retail therapy talking about some of this stuff as well. But yeah, we got some Pokemon action this weekend.
That's right, man. Danny and I are going to show you guys how to be the very best like no one ever was. And if we can't, we might cross over to the dark side and join Team Rocket. All right. They got cooler outfits anyway. But no, all jokes aside, man, yes, Pokemon World 2022 went down, and another year around the sun has gone by with me not actually at that event. I told myself, I was like, the first one back after the pandemic, I'm going, I'm pulling up. I don't give a damn where it is. And then they announced it was in London, and I was like, well, damn, man. Actually, on second thought, I might have to actually sit this one out. But next year, though, it'll be in Japan. So I'm going to have to definitely pull up to that one. Denny, you might have to come with me.
Hey, I mean, I would love to go to Japan. It's definitely on my bucket list. But if that's going down, it would definitely have to be. You know what? That might actually work out because Street Fighter would be fresh out there at the same time. Like
I'm
Street Fighter
saying.
Six in Japan would be, I'm sure, lit in whatever arcade is left there.
That's right, man. It doesn't get any fresher than that. So, yes, Pokemon Worlds just went down, and there were five titles, five very different, innovative titles that they run there. And I think that this Pokemon World, more than any of the other ones, is a true testament to that statement. Like, wow, like Pokemon is really just kind of traversing the gaming multiverse and like, yo, we got a fighting game one, we got a mobile one, we got the trading card, the VGC, we got Sword and Shield, we got everything that's going down here. Um, I think one important thing to note before we jump into this discussion is this was the last year for Pokken Tournament. And I guess for the overall fighting game community, the final year for Pokken Tournament probably, in their opinion, was probably like the year it came out. But in all reality, bro, like I think you follow fighting games probably much better than I do. Pokken Tournament has had a pretty firm place in the community. I know it's kind of had a fall from grace from being like on Pokken Circuit when it first came out to more of a community thing, but it's still been everywhere for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's still some dedicated community there with the way that things kind of flow.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say that I like some of the presentation for the overall tourney from what I saw. It's definitely still got, obviously, there's a level of production value, but I think like the dynamic of the game itself and the way they
Mm-hmm.
presented it, some of the commentary was pretty solid from what I saw.
Yeah, bro. I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to talk about that. I had always felt like so with like Nintendo games, they always lean into whatever game has the most commentators. And typically, when Nintendo wants to dip their toe in doing something that they're producing and they need voices, they'll grab smashers, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've seen it with like Splatoon. We've seen it with like some of those other games like Arms and E3 all those years ago. But this time they grabbed, I think, some homegrown Pokken commentators. And I really like that. I mean, they've always had like mainstay staples like Burnside and a handful of other talented individuals, but they got God, what's the guy's name? He commentates Mortal Kombat as well. It's Wonder something. Wonder Bread?
Wonder Chef?
Wonder Chef, yes. He's very good. They had him commentating a little bit as
Yeah.
well. And this year's Pokken tournament felt like how I thought it had always should have felt like. It felt like, man, this is a fighting game, but it's being treated and coddled like it's a not that it's not a bigger esport than it is because it is, but I'm like, when it's a fighting game, though, the commentary has to kind of reflect that. And I feel like this was the first year we really got like that, like that Tasty Steve style commentary, you know?
Yeah, I'm not gonna pretend like I was following Pokemon very heavily before
Mm-hmm.
watching some of this, but I definitely felt like, I wonder why there isn't a bigger scene after like having listening to some of the commentary there and like just the overall feel. I think that there was, Wonder Chef is definitely he's big on the Mortal Kombat side, but he definitely has some niche games he's definitely a fan of, and it comes across. And I think like that kind of passion on commentary definitely leads in when it comes to something like this. Even on, when you got some dynamic commentary, even on the loser side and stuff like that, and it's coming
Oh
through.
yeah.
Definitely helps for sure. So I'm glad that if it is the final year, that they definitely had some dynamic presentation and commentary for the leading event.
Yeah. Well, and I think, obviously we're seeing the same sort of narrative play out with Street Fighter, where like everybody's just giving it their all for this final run of it. And I know that this isn't the first final run of a Street Fighter entry, but this is the first final run of Street Fighter done at its like biggest and most esports presence. And so everybody's really trying to put that name in the history books for themselves. And I think Pokemon did that really well for all their games. I know Pokemon sharing a similar like marketing and business motive as Nintendo, like nothing stays the same for long. You're going to see one game for like a couple years, one current card meta, whatever, and then every so many months to years. I think with the card game, it's a year or so. It changes out. And for this one, I believe that the Masters division, what we've seen at Worlds, actually had a $20,000 prize pool, which is insane. That's absolutely nuts. And Quake had a really big one too, and I know we'll talk about that later on. Also jumps on, but yes, just to talk about the top 8 really quick, we had Shadowcat, who ran, I believe, Breakson, Sceptile, and Darkrai, 2 of my favorite entries in the Pokken series. I feel like Sceptile is modeling a little bit off of Yoshimitsu, and I don't really know who Darkrai and Breakson are supposed to be. Because for those who don't know out here, friends, Pokken Tournament is the illegitimate step nephew of Tekken, sort of. So something like that. There's some ingredients in there, but Shadowcat came out in first. Of course, Mutator pulled up in second place. Mewtwo Cloud, Poteen got 5th, tying with Subutan. Or no, excuse me. Poteen got 4th. Subutan and Saba got 5th, and then tying for 7th is Ito and Mikuki. I hope I'm saying that right. So yeah, very excited to see Pokken Tournament go out with a huge bang. I thought, more than anything else, this game definitely has done some things that we didn't expect it to do. I know the biggest one, of course, was going against Marvel vs. Capcom in 2018 Evo 19. I don't know. Remember, there was a fight for like the last community spot in the corner, and Pokken almost beat Marvel, bro. You remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that with the time period Infinite, I believe too. Yeah, there's definitely there's so I'm just watching the highlights of this these grand finals, and there's so much on the screen.
Yes.
Some of that, I feel like I'm watching some Final Fantasy summons the way that they were popping out there. But yeah,
Dude.
I mean it's definitely action packed when it comes to the stuff that's going on here at the end.
Yeah, it was insane, man. It was very, very fun to watch and witness. And of course, that was just Pokken Tournament. To kind of throw things over to Pokemon Unite, the newest, I think, of the Pokemon games competitively, not including like Sword and Shield and just the games that they rotate out, but like the newest installment. They're a MOBA. It looks like Team Blackhand actually won this. First place going against Noun Esports. Third place was Renaissance. Fourth place T2. It looks like 5th place was tied obviously with IX Gaming and No Show, and then 7th place was iClan and Eternity. Yeah, I mean, of course, they just play very well. Pokemon, of course, saying that this is the first history to ever do it and undefeated at Pokemon Worlds with what an achievement, excuse me. So these guys went undefeated. I think that's saying a lot too about the competitive nature and viability of Worlds. I know Pokemon gets kind of overshadowed by its like goofy and cartoony IP, and I think sometimes people forget the importance of the actual competitive integrity. Like, of course, there's guys like me, Denny, who would have pulled up to Worlds just for Pokemon cards, okay?
Yeah.
I followed Bailey on Twitter, and he got the exclusive Worlds 2022 stamped card with the staff stamp on it, which makes that card go from like $500 unopened to like probably $2,000. But
Wow.
if anybody deserves it, of course, it's him. Best TO on the planet. But yeah, I think sometimes Pokemon's competitive integrity just kind of gets overshadowed. Like, dude, there are people who are like grinding. And I know like sometimes the juniors and the regionals of these events don't quite get as much like light on them. But when Worlds comes around and you really see like a team going undefeated in a brand new game like Pokemon Unite, it hasn't been out very long. To see a team do this, I think just really says a lot about Pokemon as a franchise.
Yeah. I mean, I think that obviously Pokemon has huge staying power, but it does seem like as long as they're getting that kind of support, because it's and looking at how much is branched out,
Hmm.
considering over the years, um, money talks. Like, I feel like that's something that you can't forget about when it comes to, like you mentioned, like $20,000. That
That's facts,
is
man.
that is definitely telling people, hey, this might be worth your time, even if it's not your necessarily your main focus. And then for the teams coming out, being that first world champion, now you're in history and you get that cash. So a
Yeah.
big combo there.
Yeah, especially for Pokemon, man. I mean, they've never been shy about shelling out cash, and they've also never been shy about also taking our cash too, because they certainly know how to. I mean, I'll be real. I mean, I'm. It didn't really dawn on me till the other day. I know we were talking about this in the Slack, but we actually, my roommate Max Ketchum, we've had him on for a few things, and we actually pulled up to his mom's place. This could be a bit of a retail therapy spoiler, but hell, I mean, thanks for tuning in early. And retail therapy's around the corner. But we actually put up to his mom's place. She's like way up in the mountains in Jersey somewhere. And we drove for about 40 minutes, maybe probably closer to an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't really hit me till we got there. Like, wow, like these Pokemon cards haven't been touched in years. And I remember getting some of these like when they originally came out. Like these are like untouched. And I'm like, wow, I'm 30, like, and they've had me in a chokehold for more than half my life. Like, they know how to take some money, but again, same turn of breath. They definitely know how to dish out some cash as well. So, of course, big shout out to all the winners. Actually, let me hold on, because that was just Pokemon Unite. Then Pokemon Go pulled up. Can't forget about Pokemon Go. First place was Dancing Rob. I think I may have linked a clip to this in the Slack, if I'm not mistaken.
We got a
But if
logo
not,
in there.
oh, okay. So yeah, so it looks like in first place, of course, was Dancing Rob was able to win this thing out with his Alolan Ninetales. Very beautiful Pokemon. Ninetales is just a beautiful Pokemon in general, but Alolan Ninetales is something different. And was able to squeeze this one out over in a Godon Hada in second place, who was rocking that Altaria. Third place was Crescent Angels. Fourth place was Lurgan Rocket. Fifth place was a tie, of course, for Zardy and Martle Gold. And then seventh place was JB Yang 4 and It's Axon. So, of course, big shout out to Pokemon Go. I'll be honest, of all the Pokemon entries that do get played at Worlds, Pokemon Go is the one that like I just didn't get into. And not because I didn't like it. I when this game originally came out, I was like, Denny, dude, when I tell you I was mega broke, like I'm talking scale of 1 to 10 broke, I was like, bro, -1. It was bad. And like I had no money. And when this game was out, I had a phone, but it didn't have any cell phone service. I was trapping off the Wi-Fi. So like I couldn't even go out and like, what I'm saying, collect Pokemon. So like unless a Pokemon pulled up on me in the house or something somewhere, I couldn't catch anything. So I just missed the whole Pokemon Go wave, but this was very, very nice to watch. And it looks like
Yeah, I was
Dancing
gonna
Rob
say
here.
like that's because the whole thing about Pokemon Go was it was just a free mobile app.
Bro.
Right, yeah, I see now.
Yeah, I was like mega broke. And dude, I'm pretty sure I had like an iPhone like 6 and like Pokemon Go as an app is not a little app. Like it's gonna take up some
Yeah,
storage
it's gonna be
space. You know what I'm
hefty.
saying? Like if bro, listen, if you ain't got the storage space for it, it's gonna overheat your phone. So like when I ended up getting service, I mean this was like probably a year later. I was just like, I'm playing Miitomo now. I know Asa was probably watching. I think him and I both played a lot of Miitomo, so I just did that. So whenever they do the Miitomo World Championships, you can expect to see me there on the mic, hopefully. Um, and then looks like moving on. Of course, we have the Pokemon TCG, which could arguably be the breadwinner, I think, at Worlds. I don't know really which one is more popular besides between TCG, excuse me, and then of course the VG installments. I think obviously both versions of Pokemon right there, just as they are really good at keeping kids in a chokehold. But first place was Andrej Schoolball. Second place was Dachi Shimada. Third and fourth place was a tie. Looks like we got an American guy in here, James Cox. tying with Ryota Ishiyama.
I don't know, they're
And
shuffling through these cards, just whipping them out right now.
yeah, it's a three-way tie too, actually. Otavio Guevia and fifth through eighth place, Andrew Estrada, Andre Chaison, and Kawin Kababe. I think I'm saying that right. Seniors world champion, Liam H. Juniors world champion, Rikuto O. And yeah, man, so I think there's a point in every Pokemon person's life, especially with the card game, where you're like, okay, I am, the fork in the road. The competitive road is that way, the collector's road is this way. Like me, I gave both an equal chance. I promise you I did, Denny. I played the card game first. I was like, okay, let's give this a go. And this was like, God, this might have been like early Gen 2. So this was like, Neo Genesis, Discovery, or Revelations, and Destiny, the 4 Neo sets. I was like, okay, I'm going to give this shit a go. And I tried it, and I was absolutely horrible. But like, as a fighting game competitor, when you're bad at something, you're like, I got to keep getting beat up until I get good. I must have played Pokemon, the card game, competitively for like a month. I didn't get any better as a kid. My mind wasn't where it needed to be. And I'm like, you know what? We just going back to collecting cards, man. That's what we going to do. All right, we're going to go back to collecting because I just can't even run this. But it was very fun to see, obviously, these competitors do what they do. I get a huge wave of nostalgia watching, just Pokemon play of any sort. I've seen it, at a local standpoint. I've seen it, on a semi-major standpoint. Of course, I've never been to Worlds, but it just makes me feel happy to see Pokemon still played like this. I mean, here we are coming up. It's basically been its 25th anniversary. And I felt like, damn, it was just the 20th anniversary where we did a whole special thing. Now 25 is here, 30 will be around the corner, and then next thing you know, we'll be at, knock on wood, hopefully I live long enough to see, the next 10, 15 years of Pokemon. So it's amazing to see, man. It's really dope.
Yeah, it seems like folks had a good time. There's also, I like the stage and everything they had set up out there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it's good to see Pokemon doing well in its own ways, considering uh, other things that are tied to Nintendo are not getting the same level of support.
Well. Listen to you, Mr. Denny Von Doom, the local villain. Listen to you.
Having we didn't really talk too much about the announcement earlier, like you mentioned about Japan, but
Mm-hmm.
they gotta be feeling pretty confident that hopefully things are going to be stable enough a year from now to host overseas with the next one, despite the rising numbers over there. But
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that, and I think too, you know, I think it was long overdue for us to go back across the ocean, like all the way across this time. I think before, the last couple have been in like DC. I want to say it was in DC at least like 2 or 3 times. This one being in London is nice. And I'd always felt like, well, it's called Worlds, but we're not really exploring the world. But then there was another part of me that was like, well, hold on, before we explore the world, let me go to the one that's in the States because the brother is broke. But, I also want to use this as a way to double, as a vacation to go to Japan. Obviously, like if I went, I would do some work, we'd do some coverage, interview some people, find some translators, talk. But it'd be like, damn, man, like just to be in Japan for Pokemon, like it don't get more Pokemon than Japan.
well, that's definitely a good point. But before we wrap up the Pokemon segment, I know you had mentioned like the news about the TCG, I think, or the eBay thing earlier.
Yes,
I
dude.
saw that, but I wasn't sure what the context was.
So, and the story is still fresh, and I'm pretty sure. Let me make sure before I talk about this, we actually wrote something at Shacknews, or that it's up. I want to make sure that if there's somebody who wrote it, that they get some credit while we're up here. Let me see. I'm on the site right now, and okay, I don't think anything's gone up yet, but maybe it might be coming up. But anyway, eBay just purchased TCG Player. So for the average person, that might not be a big deal, but I think that is a huge deal. It's very reminiscent of what we've seen with somebody. There was a sneaker story too, where like eBay and StockX and something like that went down. I think Nike was trying to buy StockX or something crazy, but Anyway, it says eBay has entered into an agreement to acquire TCG Player. Now, eBay and TCG Player have been some of the most, probably more eBay, but have been some of the most, prolific secondhand market for cards. As we know, if you want to collect anything, we go to Walmart, Best Buy, Toys R Us, Amazon. We go to all these places, and then when we don't get them, you hang your head, you drag your ass back to your car, you go home, you sit in front of your computer and cry when you go on eBay and deal with the scalpers. But I think in an attempt, because eBay has a really big hand in the sneaker world too. If you ever go to SneakerCon, they have a big booth there where they help legit check sneakers. Now they're taking their step into the trading card thing a little bit more, because I think they're beginning to realize this Pokemon thing, it had a boom, obviously at the height of the pandemic, but it's now starting to coast, but it's starting to coast at a level that it wasn't coasting at before. And I completely forgot, like, I was watching one of my favorite YouTubers, and I'm like, man, there are so many Pokemon sets that I completely spaced on. But since the boom, I am locked into every single set. Now, obviously, not all of them are going to be as popular as, like, Hidden Fates and Shining Fates, like some of that stuff that got people really going. But the fact that, it's become so big on TCG Player that eBay had to step in and buy it is wild. Now, I'm just going to read a little bit of this because, this isn't elementary school. I'm not going to be reading out loud in front of everybody, so y'all can be laughing at me. Now, it says trading cards are an attractive category, which has been substantial growth. TCG Player is leading technology platform for the collectibles industry and will continue to operate as one of the largest online marketplaces for trading card games. This acquisition complements eBay's focused category strategy and furthers the company's commitment to trading card enthusiasts, providing eBay with strategic omni-channel capabilities like order fulfillment and cart optimization, maintaining its position as a desirable platform for trading card sellers and enhancing the overall experience for customers. Now, not in any of them big ass words that I just used, in any of that fancy ass business jargon, did they say that they were going to stop scalpers. But that does sound good. I do think there is still a bit of an issue that runs rampant on eBay and most, forums like this, buying fake things, PayPal not being able to help you out like they're supposed to, getting chargebacks, order, miscommunication. My street that I live on here in Jersey, it has changed from avenue to street back to avenue in the last 5 years. So like when I order stuff on DoorDash, I have to send it to the address with street on the end. But when I order stuff on Uber Eats, I have to change it to Ave. But with, I think, just the commitment that eBay is going to bring to the platform TCG Player, hopefully they can find a better way to get things shipped to people, things not quite as lost in translation when it's leaving from point A to point B, and really just overall making the market, making a corner of eBay more friendly for resellers. And I know that sounds weird because like everybody's like, oh, resellers, but dude, there's some things that are just not easy to obtain. And I think TCG Player and eBay coming together might make things more accessible for the average collector. Like, bro, I drove an hour into Long Island for a Pokeball that I didn't even want. I drove out there, was like, let me get out here. Bro, listen, I called Blake. I said, Blake, I drove an hour out here. So I'm like, what do you want? Do you want anything? He's like, no, I'm good. Thank you, though. Like, drove a very long way, but I felt like, and again, an hour is not bad as a Midwesterner because, we can drive very long hours. But I'm like, you know what? Why don't I just have TCG Player and eBay just send me some shit? I could have got that for a fraction of the price and maybe with less the hassle. Yeah, just one click buy.
This is like, I didn't realize how much money was being made on that end because how big is this sale again? I feel like it was a pretty substantial amount of money on the eBay end.
Hold on, it's somewhere in here. Yeah, because I was actually reading this before we started. Oh, this article doesn't say it. This reason why this article doesn't say it is because it's not a Shacknews article. Y'all just have to wait for the Shacknews ones to come up so we can get you the real details. It says the deal worth up to $295 million marks eBay's latest push into the growing trading card market, which experienced a huge boom during the pandemic. Now, eBay has always been a market for especially the older cards. Base set. We all know base set Charizard, Fossil, Jungle, all them old ass cards from when we were a kid. But for the people who held on to them, I feel like eBay is like more of a interconnected highway for people. Everybody knows eBay. TCG Player is taking that card corner of eBay and then zeroing in on it for the card enthusiasts. And it's letting, now with them coming together, eBay is going to highlight really just like the greatness that is the card culture, that card corner of eBay, and hopefully they're going to do it some justice. Because 295 million is a big ass fucking deal. That's pretty big.
Yeah, that's big money right there for sure.
Yeah. But anyway, that's enough card talk because you know we can talk about cards forever. We got to move into something I think that is even juicier. Okay, we got to talk about, is it Summer Jam? I think we got to talk about Summer Jam, right, Denny?
Yeah, there's always some good times in the FGC. At least,
Yes, sir.
as we're moving through the pandemic, where things were not necessarily thriving the same way it usually do a year or so ago. But now things
Mm-hmm.
are moving back in. Big E is back through, or Big E Gaming with Summer Jam again this year, pulling up, and there was some good stuff. Definitely some not really upsets, but more so just some good gaming to watch overall. We'll pull up the results here in a second for majority of top eights, but yeah, I got to tune in a little bit for a little bit of Street Fighter, some Guilty, and Tekken. Which is on a tear right now as far as just overall good ass Tekken. I mean,
Yes.
there's been some great matchups, and we had a huge one to close out yesterday with Cuddlecore.
Mm-hmm.
Who we have had on the show before.
That's
Uh,
right.
and yeah, Cuddles, she was putting in some work, but the dynamic was definitely a nail biter. She was able to bring it all the way back after resetting in grand finals. And it came down to final round. It kind of can't get any more dynamic than that, basically. Definitely was worth checking out. I'm gonna try and pull up some video footage here in a second. But yeah, Summer
Yeah.
Jam it definitely has a pretty long history. And as we kind of move out of your combo breakers and your evos, it's a nice way to kind of close out the summer with some major content.
I agree, bro. You know, I've never been able to quite pinpoint, like, you know, when you work in the gaming industry, you have a different outlook. You almost like see the community in the industry and like matrix coding because you don't really like, especially like us at Shacknews. Like, if we pull up to something, now we're no longer looking at the event from the perspective of an attendee. We're also looking at it as the perspective of like, I have to write about this or create some sort of content or coverage about it, which is cool. But now I got to take myself out of the equation and be like, okay, is this fun for everybody? Like, is everybody having just as much fun at X event that we covered versus this event? And I had always felt like with Summer Jam or like any of the big E gamings, which is like the or is it the Fall Classic?
Yeah, Fall Classic is another one from Big E.
No, and then Summer Jam. I always felt like, damn, these are dope, and they don't quite have like that esports stamp, and I like that. Like, I mean, they run a lot of games, and of course, Big E gets the job done. In fact, he was one of the TOs. We never met, but when I first like started following people in esports, like in fighting games, he was one of the first people to pop up because the dude is just active on social media, and I was like, damn, this doesn't feel like evil. This feels like some gritty shit in a good way though. Like this feels like the cookout. Like this feels like, you know, we just coming together and we're gonna do this. Obviously, we're gonna run a great event. You know, we're gonna make sure these brackets and everything run on time. We're gonna get this done. But it just feels like these events are more for the people by the people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, there's definitely elements of that kind of vibe, especially since there's also where to locate it. Philly's always got a pretty wild scene in general across esports, especially in the FGC. And I always
Mm-hmm.
like that about the Fall Classic too. That we get some Carolina love. Um, there's definitely scenes that are not necessarily don't get the opportunity for as much traction on the more big esports scene. But
Sure.
stuff like the Fall Classic is always been a solid spot for those kind of opportunities to with both East Coast and to a certain extent some of the South as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like Philly's got a crazy FGC scene in general. But it's just a nice way to close out both the summer and if we're hitting here towards the end of a kind of era, depending on how many new fighting games we might be have coming up next year. It's nice to see that people are able to show up here and safely enjoy an event. But
Yeah.
yeah, you had the Street Fighter going fairly well. I think that
I,
there was definitely there were a couple of new faces that were in the top 8 on that end, which I think is
mhm.
part of people kind of wrapping up the Street Fighter side of things as we prepare for Street Fighter 6. I do think that there's probably a little bit of burnout because you know with there being Evo and so much West Coast related tournament scene action going on. Going from coast to coast, it could be a bit rough. Only a few weeks later, depending, especially if it's just for like a game or so. So I
Yeah.
do think that that was a factor when it came to some of the bigger names maybe not showing up for some of these opportunities on that end. But they
Yeah, because it
definitely
looks
came
like
through
you
for Tekken.
guys ran 2v2. You guys ran Street Fighter 5 Champion Edition 2v2 teams, and then you guys also ran just the traditional, 1v1 bracket.
Yeah, they had some of both going in, which I think is can be fun. Um, but it did seem like if you just decide to slide through or East Coast in, uh,
Ah,
some of the usuals popped up, like your Chris Cheese and such. But there was definitely not as many of the heavy hitters from more of the West Coast end uh,
hmm
pulling up for this tourney, which I mean it makes sense. I mean there's still prestige in getting your name on some of these, but I definitely felt like this was Tekken's time to shine a bit on this end. There was some
yeah, I'm
fun
looking at.
on the Marvel side though. They did have a Marvel 3 tourney that was a bit fun to watch, even though you had your Chris Cheese pulling up with the Morgan Doom combo, which has always been still prevalent.
Yup.
But yeah, really really solid stuff there. But I do want to talk about the Tekken end, because yeah, Cuddle Core came through and showed out. It was a pretty wild. I guess like top 8 was fun, but that last couple games was just some top notch action.
No, that's facts, bro. Like I Cuddle Core. So I know we had her on the show a while back, and we got a chance to hear her story and just everything that she's kind of not everything obviously, but she talked a good chunk about like who she was and her upbringing, who she is, and obviously who she wants to be as well. Everybody's still changing, and I'm looking at like these Tekken 7 results, and obviously she ran her Xiaoyu and Elisa Boskonovich, but the person she went against ran Claudio, Zafina, Anna, and Kazuya, which those are a lot of characters to rotate through, and I almost go as far to say obviously no character is the same, but these characters are vastly different on the Tekken 7 like spreadsheet of characters and what they can and can't do. But another one that was in there as well is somebody I feel like people forget about, which is my friend Obscure rocking Elisa. So he played a very, very good Gardevoir back in Pokken Tournament. He was running that for quite some time, then he stopped. And now he's rocking Elisa. And I gotta say, Obscure and Kodakor are definitely two of my favorite players to watch. Like they get in the bracket
Yeah,
and it gets really spooky for the other side.
yeah, big facts. I think that. And I like Shadow too. Obviously they play a lot, but there was some for starters. Koto's had to fight our way through losers bracket um, fairly early on there, but I just like how she held her composure and even made some smart decisions on changing things up with Zayu as we moved into the grand finals. Like even now in this footage, this was after the reset, uh,
Mm-hmm.
resetting the bracket end. In which case, of course, grand finals coming through the losers end. You gotta win through, get your 2 games in, to reset, go on the grand finals end, and she played some smart tech in there. Pretty decisive to get things going to grand finals. But yeah, I liked both her play style and the decision making she was getting on in some of these matchups. But yeah, after the grand finals reset, uh, I think her switching to Zayu to kind of counteract some of the Claudio play that Shadows had going, and then just really making some smart decision making on the fly, and even then it was still really close.
Mm-hmm.
Came down to last round, So yeah, I just gotta give Cuddle Core some love. Shout outs to you, Cuddle Core. You know, putting in that work, and it paid off here, taking home that W.
Yeah,
We are quite
it ain't,
impressed.
bro.
Yeah, yeah,
It
it is.
ain't easy.
It is definitely not easy, especially if with Shadow, coming for it. But yeah, this is what champions do. They hold the composure, even in certain situations where it may be looking a little bit dire. But she bounced back after a couple rough rounds, and it was awesome to see. We'll see how things go moving forward as we move to the rest of the tournament year. But
Yeah, I'm gonna have
pretty
to
big
hard
W.
agree with that, man. It feels like, especially with Claudio too. I mean, these two characters, very early meta 2000 and Tekken 7 characters, excuse me. Very early meta characters. They obviously had a stronghold on where things were going, and then I felt like they kind of thought of favor for a little bit. But then there's some people like these two here that are still rocking them, and I like Claudio watching him. I don't like fighting him because I know like every counter hit or every hard knockdown he gets the spirit fingers, the jazz hands. They have a billion different names, and that just adds an extra layer of stress. And so it kind of ties back into your statement about like, yo, like this is just where like champions are born. Like, you just got to rise to the occasion and do the damn thing. And I mean, even looking at this clip here, she's going against Kazuya, who's completely different play style, like a guy who wants to get in, get them
Yeah,
counter
but
hits,
you
and just
just see that. Just see that. Like I remember, I
bro,
had
look
to,
at this,
had to show off that round because this is when things
bro.
started. This is when things started shifting. When she got that perfect, the movement there was wild, and it just turned into like a straight up like slugfest. Like with some of the decision making here, it was like, okay, all right, I've already got the reset. Look, it's time. Like
Yeah,
we're down. This setup here is like, look at this. It's 2-2. You
hmm
know, equal matchups, and then she just started going in. Like it was just, you could feel what she's like. It's time for the kill switch. Let's go. I fought my way all the way through, back through the losers. We're down to final game. Let's make it happen. And I think like
yeah.
when I saw that perfect shift, I was like, yeah, it's cut of course time. It was time for her to put it in with
hmm
that one.
Yeah, well, and I think it's too when it comes to Tekken, like when you get a perfect. I mean, when you get a perfect in any fighting game, of course, it feels good. But when you get that perfect in Tekken, just because of the system mechanics and like what you get per hit, a perfect is like, yeah, download complete, or it's like, yeah, I'm feeling good. Like you about to get your ass beat now, and we definitely see that shift here. I mean, Xiaoyu up close is terrifying. Xiaoyu against the wall is some scary business, and I think Cuddlecore is proving exactly why right here.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of playing against IU, but her juggles are wild. But yeah, this was like as good as Tekken as you can get, really. I mean, coming down to your final game, final round after a full grand finals reset, and Cuddles clutched it out. So I like seeing that Tekken's having just a really good year
Mhm.
overall. I think there was another World Tour event as well overseas at the same time, but yeah, it was just awesome to see. I'm really happy for Cuddles to pull it out here, and I'm looking forward to seeing what ends up happening with Tekken next year. Whatever their announcements are going to be, the scene deserves I think some fresh blood and some some fresh game opportunity here. Tekken 7 has been riding it out for a good minute, but I think it's definitely time to kind of move things into, I mean, a new direction, but also, give me some Tekken Tag. Or, I mean, Tekken 8, of course, people want, but I'm like, man, a new Tekken Tag would be awesome.
Man, my only issue with the tag style games is like, you know, it's almost like the Super Smash Brothers syndrome, where like none of what you see in this game is canon. Even though like in our hearts we wish the first Tekken Tag was probably canon. Like, but that first one, of course, introduced characters that were dead, had been long dead for 20 years. But it's like none of this is going to matter in the next installment. It's like, what do we do to like circumvent that? We just got to add more characters. And like the last Tekken Tag, we ended up getting like Bob and Slim Bob, and we got Lily, and then we also got her butler as well, who was a fighter, and we got all these like, I mean, it was packed to the brim. So I'm like, damn, if they do a Tekken Tag 3, like
Yeah.
what you gonna put in now? Like background characters from stages and fucking, just one-off obscure whatever. Like I think even Xiaoyu's homegirl was a character in one of the Tekken tags. I think two. So
But I mean, I
I don't
think
know.
there's been enough time though that like I don't really need you to put in a bunch of brand new characters. I just need this to be a quality next gen title. This needs to hold
Mhm.
up for the next couple of years.
Yeah.
Regardless of which one it ends up being, if it's Tekken 8, if it's Tekken Tag, or if it's possibly two different projects. But keep in mind, you've got some of that team working on different stuff, outside of Tekken and outside of even the company, or helping out on the end. But I feel like this is kind of a time period where if I'm going to be bringing in a new title, even if Tekken 8 or whatever is more than several months out, and it's just going to be peaks and teasers for the next year or so. I think that it has to be a situation where like you're bringing in a new era of the franchise. If Tekken 8 is going to take more time in the oven, and we're getting Tekken Tag first or something like that, then just have fun with it. In a way that's
Yeah.
like, look, we got you're still gonna have Tekken 7 during that time period, and you got Tekken Tag. Put together some kind of event together. I think like Tekken as a whole can sustain having two solid games at the same time. And I think it would be a situation where you
Yeah.
could even put together more events around that if you were to have a tag and a second Tekken game running at the same time in some way.
I think so too. I think they'd also handle it a lot better than like Capcom handled having multiple games. Like I know there was that time period where like Street Fighter Five, of course, was like in the thick of things, like just kicking off. I don't even know if like DLC was out yet, but then of course we had like Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, and I was just like, okay, here I am at Canada Cup 2017. We're running both games. One game kind of feels like it's getting overshined by the other, even though the other game is probably going to be here a lot longer than the other, and it's just like, it
Yeah,
feels like, or even like Tekken and Soul Calibur. Tekken, Soul Calibur, and Dragon Ball, like, those are, three very different games, but, similar background pieces. And I just feel like Tekken just gets all the shine, you know what I mean? For obvious reason.
yeah. I mean, I think that there's an opportunity right now to head towards a heyday period for multiple titles. The heyday for Capcom was the peak of Street Fighter 4 and Marvel 3 running consecutively, basically, where both games were both bringing in, you had your dedicated Daigos and such that were always going to be heavy on the Street Fighter end and that kind of crowd. But he also had a thriving Marvel scene that was, just unprecedented, just unprecedented since then. So I feel like the combination of both those things is pretty much what they want to move towards moving forward. I think if both Capcom, Tekken, and maybe even NetherRealm have multiple projects in the works, it could be, I don't know, like this could be a new heyday for the overall scene.
Renaissance.
Yeah, like imagine like multiple titles coming out for major companies, and then whatever Arc Systems has to do on top of Guilty Gear still, still thriving. It could be a big move, and clearly, like there's some hints of Dragon Ball Fighter Z getting some kind of action down the line, whether it's full on sequel or whatever. But yeah, I think there's still plenty of conversation to be had.
Well, yeah, because when was the last like fighting game Renaissance? Could we maybe make a point that it was like, was it like that 2008 like Street Fighter 4? I know Tekken 7 was like that next year. Super Smash Brothers Brawl, King of Fighters. Like, was it like that 2008 9 era? Like the last one we had a really big boom. I think we even got like Tatsunoko versus Capcom on the Wii as well.
Yeah, there was some Wii action in there too. I mean, I think that the period where Capcom was kind of peaking, with the heavier parts of Street Fighter 4, Marvel both thriving. Um, because before that period, you had Street Fighter Cross Tekken, which didn't do as well, and some of the other side games. But yeah, it's been a good minute since you've had everything on point. MKX, Injustice, like been definitely a couple years since everything kind of hit its focal point in a way. It made sense.
Yeah, no doubt about that, man. And I think speaking of a game that's in its heyday, man, Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I mean, we seen, like you said, Chris G took that Right beneath him was Wedge running Deadpool, Dante, and Strider. Okay. And of
Yeah.
course, we had DCB's Boog running Zero, Doctor Doom, and Virgil. So we got double the Doom in top 4. Actually, triple the Doom, because then Young had also ran Spencer, Akuma, and Hawkeye, and then he ran Hawkeye, Doctor Doom, Akuma, then Hawkeye, Doctor Doom, and Virgil. So no matter what, Doctor Doom was pulling up in a big way.
It's definitely there's some straps to having the Spencer Akuma Hawkeye team, or well, basically the top 3. People forget about Deadpool, Dante, Strider, but I mean that's basically a death squad. That's a kill squad right there. You're gonna have, but I mean, the strats work if you keep your team alive. But then the other ones, Zero, Doctor Doom, Virgil, that's just classic, corner def, infinite loop. We're gonna get some solid lightning loops going, and then just miss we get to death. But yeah, there's still some energy in Marvel. It's just that, yeah, but you just gotta keep praying that one day Marvel will see the light, and then they'll bless us with the opportunity for more Capcom action.
I know it's coming soon, but I mean, honestly though, like the Marvel games, but really specifically Capcom just has a knack for like making sure their games go, the distance. And when I look at Street Fighter 4 and their results as well, of course we have Smug running Dudley, who I believe did he win Street Fighter 4 at the last CEO in Jabalion Land? I mean, I was there. I feel like he might have.
Wouldn't surprise me. I mean,
yeah, he's very dangerous, and I think he ran some of the last ones too. And then of course we have Wax Solid running Ryu.
I was surprised to see Alex pop up here. I haven't really seen Alex Smith around for a minute, but yeah, definitely. One thing you have to give credit to on the East side is that they will run all the games. There's always they have a scene for your Street Fighter 4s, your Marvel 3s. Even like Multi Blood, I think got some love in this one. So yeah, there's definitely some energy there. But yeah, overall, good to see some more FGC action. I think Tekken was definitely the highlight, with just how much theatrics there was, I guess, towards the end. But I'm always glad to see some more FGC action happening, especially in places that have a talkative audience. And Philly is definitely always talkative.
They gonna talk some shit. Yeah, my roommates are obviously all from Tri-State, and then we have a buddy from Miami here right now. So like when I can always tell when they're playing games together because the shit talk is very present. You know what I'm saying? Like the East Coast they just get it. They know how to get under that skin. But yeah, if you're like this shit, you gotta be able to take it too. And I think of course the East Coast can definitely take that BS and that banter as well. So big shout out to everybody who had a helping hand in Summer Jam, of course. Looked like a phenomenal experience as well, too. Some of the other games that I ran there before we wrap it up, they ran Dragon Ball Fighters. Chris G won that. They run Melty Blood, no surprise there. Street Fighter 5, 2v2 teams. He ran that as well. They did a top 4 payout. So they ran a lot of, even Soul Calibur 6, King of Fighter 15, a DNF duel. Of course, Guilty Gear Strive got to run that. But I think, like Denny said, the big ticket was Tekken 7. So there's a lot of news on that. And friends, if you've been digging some of the news you've been listening to here, well, then let me tell you what you need to do, okay? You need to go ahead. You need to slam, smash, destroy that subscribe button, okay? I'm not even saying follow anymore. I'm done being nice, okay? It's time for y'all to subscribe to this channel, okay? It's twitch.tv/Shacknews. And as cool as this program is, you're in store. This isn't the only cool program that we do. We have Monday through Friday content, Monday through Saturday content, around the clock. There's always so much to do. And on the off chance that you might catch us, like, not streaming, guess what you can do? You can go ahead over to our YouTube channel. We got 2 of them things where we have all the VODs from all of our programs, clips and highlights, courtesy, of course, of Greg Burkleton Burke and, of course, Denny Von Doom. We're getting all the good parts of these shows and their smallness or their bigness out on the internet as well. So be sure to go check us out, okay? We're also on Instagram as well, Shacknews Media. Of course, Denny is doing a phenomenal job at turning that around. It's been a long journey. But you know what, though? We're making sure that we get to where we need to go. So you'll see retail therapy clips that we do every other. Oh, no, we do 2 Wednesdays a month. I almost said every other. We do 2 Wednesdays a month now. We just changed the schedule. But you'll see clips from that on there. Of course, you'll see clips from Wide World. I'm sure Pop Goes to Culture and all of our other wonderful programs right around the corner as well. So be sure to follow us on there. Of course, head on over to the website. That is the one-stop shop. Not the Walmart, but the Target Okay, that is our target right there of gaming. Okay, we got a little bit of class. That's our target. So please go ahead and check that out as well. Also, head on over to our Twitter account as well. You can follow us on Twitter, myself, Denny Von Doom, and of course, the man with the briefcase coming through with the folding chair. He's going to tell you not to follow him, but Asif is a very good time on Twitter as well. Very funny, very witty. Go ahead and shoot him a follow if you want. Proceed with caution. Proceed with caution, though.
Also, he's been popping up with the with the DJ streams. He's been suffering the Madden force.
I reviewed Madden. I don't even want to talk. We're not talking about that. But yeah, you can go on YouTube. I highly recommend you watch the VOD from our big team building stream where it was me playing, but I had the rest of the staff there to kind of help me cope with how bad franchise mode was. And I just clipped you, Rod, threatening everyone to subscribe to our channel because I think that was a solid promo.
Yeah, I'm done being nice. I just
we need the full wrestling heel turn.
Yeah, this is it. This is that turn that everyone's been waiting for. But yeah, no, I thought I'd hop in.
Yeah, we got some quality, Quake talk to get into. I guess QuakeCon was a thing, this past weekend.
Okay, we had QuakeCon and it took place online. It's
been online for 3 damn years, Rod. The stupid virus and
yes,
also this was overseas in Eastern Europe. I think they held it in Romania this year. Which obviously it wasn't QuakeCon being held in Romania. This was the Quake World Championship. Congratulations to Quake champions on finally going 1.0. 5 years after early access dropped. Mm-hmm. This has been an esport, Rod, the whole time. It just went 1.0. Yeah, they added it to Game Pass, and yeah, if you get it on Game Pass, you get all the champions unlocked. Yeah, they made this game free to play after it wasn't originally. Yeah, all that has happened. But the game's out just in time for the esport to die like a wet fart. No, look, there were like 6,000 people watching it, Rod, which is not nothing to scoff at, but you look at other FPS games, you're talking 250,000, 500,000, 1 million people watching these things. CSGO or COD Pro League or even Valorant, even Overwatch League. I don't know what Overwatch League pulls now because they're on YouTube, but I'm sure it's better than 6,000 concurrent viewers. Yeah, I didn't really... Also, because it was happening in Romania, it actually aired pretty early in the day here in the States, so I kind of missed a lot of it. I woke up and Rafa was already out.
Yeah, I posted that, yeah.
He's my favorite player. He's the GOAT. He's won the damn thing 6 times. You know what I mean? Like, his skills transcend Quake Live, Quake 3, Quake Champions, He is, in my opinion, still the GOAT. Maybe he didn't have his A game, Maybe he was overseas in Romania and had jet lag or something. But yeah. He lost. I thought that was the headline, honestly. There's about 24 players in the entire pro scene for Quake. At one point it was a team-based esport. It was all 2v2, kind of like Multiversus, right? Except I guess the biggest cameo or character that you wouldn't expect was BJ Blazkowicz or maybe Doom Guy. But Quake Champions has been around for a while. Quake's obviously one of the original esports. Started basically in 1996, 98. That's really when things really started to pop off for esports. Yeah, I don't know. It was weird. And the production's great on these things. I still think head-to-head Quake is entertaining to watch. It's not that. But, this is really the only time of year you hear about this very much. They do other events. We try to focus on them here because our site was founded as a Quake fan site. We were Quake Holio. We were Scary Sugar Shack, and Scary, that username was Steve Gibson, our founder's Quake username. So that's what he was known as in Quake. So obviously we care about the franchise. We've written the Bible on it. If you ever heard of Rocket Jump, It's a definitive history of first-person shooters in the 90s, written by David Craddock. It's a long read. You can buy it on Amazon as a book. I know David's working on a first-person shooter documentary that's going to have a lot of the same content in it, a lot of similar content in it. But yeah, there was. So we're no strangers to covering Quake here, but Quake's not. There was barely anyone on my timeline talking about it this weekend. Like it was almost like QuakeCon came and went, and honestly, there were two events every year that if things were different right now, I would not miss. Evo and QuakeCon.
Yes.
They are two of the most unique events in person that I think exist. Evo with those we talked about the day 1 and day 2 feel on the floor in pools. Like I just love that vibe. I love dragging my folding chair around and sitting down and watching whatever, falling asleep during Mortal Kombat 11 at 10 p.m. on a Saturday. But like, look, and it's not that I hate Mortal Kombat. It's just MK11 sucks as an esport right now. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, like QuakeCon without a physical event feels wrong. And like, I'm not one that's rushing us back to things either. But this, you look at QuakeCon this year. What actually was announced? It was like Elder Scrolls news. It was like Bethesda Con. Like 80% of their talks were all around Bethesda games. And it's like, I get it. Bethesda bought id, Microsoft bought Bethesda, so it might as well be, you could put Minecraft there now. Like, who knows where I worry where this event is headed, because it used to be a weekend of peace, love, and rockets. That was the motto of it, and it was the largest LAN I've ever seen in my life. It rivals any DreamHack you've been to. Like the BYOC at QuakeCon, that to me is the event. And I know there's a group of people who are former QuakeCon attendees that did something this weekend called LAN All Night. So there was something going down in Texas this weekend, but it wasn't an official part of QuakeCon. So you don't have the exhibitors, you don't have the money, you don't have the keynote. There was no keynote. Like, QuakeCon was known for keynotes. QuakeCon was known for, this is where we're going to talk about the future of either Doom or Quake. And right now they have like nothing to say about either. So it just felt very weird. This year felt lesser than the previous 2 digital years. So it makes me worry that they're not. Maybe they don't care, or maybe it's just they realize how hard it is to do a compelling QuakeCon online, and they realize, like, their communities made it kind of loud and clear that they want BYOC back, and that to me is QuakeCon. To me is 3 a.m. conversations with total strangers on the BYOC, and then deciding to play Rocket League with them. Or hopping on a Shacker's computer who had a spot there and playing PUBG till 5 in the morning. Like, it's just random things happen down there at a giant LAN, Tournaments pop off just out of nowhere, There's like people with Switches playing Smash at QuakeCon. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, literally, I love those little setups because people would bring their Switch dock and their Switch, and some people had GameCube adapters and stuff, and you would see them literally running like a little mini tournament just at one little spot at QuakeCon. And the clans, there's the waifus for Laifu. I hope they're okay. I haven't heard from them in a while. There's the A2M clan, which is also really weird and creepy. But yeah, like Shacknews used to have a very sizable presence at QuakeCon. It was a thing where one of our mods, Dognose, would pick up people from the airport and drive them to the hotel and stuff. Like, Mrs. Gibson, Steve's mom, actually took a bunch of Shackers who were in town for QuakeCon on a tour of, I think it was like a Lockheed Martin factory. So like, it used to be like a real Shacker event. So our relationship with it has been pretty solid as a live event, and obviously we did the Great Quakeholio tournaments there, where they were a celebration of id Software, and there was head-to-head Commander Keen speed runs. We did a 3-person Doom 2016 score attack speed run, which is still one of my favorite things we've ever done at any of our esports events. We've done 4 players all playing Wolfenstein at the same damn Wolfenstein 3D score attack speedruns. Score attack speedruns head to head are awesome. You can turn anything basically into an esports race, right? Because you factor in time, you factor in getting ahead, but also points. And with a game like Wolfenstein, there's a lot of like little secrets. I don't know if you remember that game, but like you could just literally walk up to a wall that just looks like a brick wall, hit the space bar, and then here's all this treasure, and then suddenly you get a bunch of points. So we were seeing who actually had that knowledge in our player base, and it was always awesome. Like I've never, you can go back and look at some of our Quake Champions footage from those years, and I'm talking about 19, 18. You see some of the best gameplay that you'll see. Even, like, I wouldn't say it's pro level, but it's very close. Because the people who attend QuakeCon love Quake, and the people who sign up for a Quake tournament at QuakeCon tend to be very good at the game. So yeah, I miss all of that stuff. So like, no matter what they did this year, it was gonna kind of suck. But yeah, the tournament was good. The production was good. You know, we had DJ Wheat there, and like he's like obviously just. I love his energy on Quake broadcasts, and
from Nebraska.
It was great to see him too, because I know he left Twitch, but like he's still there, and he's still a huge part of the Quake community, and like that whole desk is super knowledgeable, and they actually do a good job of interviewing the players, because it was literally just the commentators and the players. It was very much like a summit kind of a broadcast, Rod.
Yeah.
Which I like. I actually enjoyed that aspect of it, but it's different when you can hear the crowd. We talked about this.
Yes,
like, it is different. Like, it is a completely different feeling, especially at QuakeCon, because the Quake tournament gets its own space there, its own, like, stadium seating and stuff, and people get hyped for it, man. That Sunday, grand finals, you do not miss that. Like, that is, everyone is there. Everyone leaves the BYOC, or they're watching it on their computers, on Twitch at the BYOC. There's people who, you know, there's so many projectors in the BYOC, and you'll see people broadcasting the championship game on the wall. You know, so yeah, I miss that aspect of it. Like, it's something different. But yeah, and I don't know if I think Rafa's been on this like emotional journey for the past few years, and I just wonder if he's. I don't think anyone's figured him out. I just think he might not be practicing as much. I follow him on Twitch. He broadcasts his scrims a lot of the time. I haven't seen him practicing as much, so maybe that's part of it. It's also, this game's 5 years old. And it sucks, though, because he's not someone who you're going to see jump to Valorant. He's not someone who's going to jump to Apex. He's
only done like 2 games professionally, maybe 3. Like, he hasn't done very many, so he sticks to his guns.
Yeah, and like, it's because no other shooter feels like Quake.
Yeah.
Like, the closest we've ever gotten was maybe Unreal Tournament and various variations of that game. And yeah, like, I know TF2 or Team Fortress was built off of a Quake mod. So, like, there are elements of those games that feel like Quake. But the what I think makes Quake so great is the level design, the weapon design, the balancing of the weapons, the placement of pickups. So there's like the mega health, the mega armor, there's those armor shards, there's the health shards, all that. Knowing like there was a certain path that you can take in any Quake level that has to be memorized, right? And getting to see 2 people who know that divine path go up against each other and seeing those like clashes, so damn entertaining. Knowing, like, seeing these guys who know, okay, that guy went through that teleporter. The only 2 places he can come out of are this doorway and that doorway. You know, so they're just spamming rockets at either doorway until they hit, you know, and you can hear it. There's so much great audio design in Quake games, even Champions, where like just a little audio cue can set you off and you're like, aha. But yeah, I don't know. I wasn't feeling it this year, guys. I think it was how early it was. Like, normally, like, if this was happening in America, no offense to Europe or whatever, because honestly, a lot of the players are over there. A large amount of the players are Eastern European right now, of the pros. So I get why being over there is helpful for them. But, like, the time of day just did not line up with me at all. And if I was awake for it, I would have watched it. I would have put it on all day. Because Kilson's awesome.
Yeah.
He had a great tournament.
He double eliminated Razi, right? He did it
Razi,
early
yeah.
winner, and then he beat him in grands as well. But I mean, he was putting up a fight, but
He was locked in.
I don't know what he tapped into something, man, on him, and he whooped him. Because usually, like, you'll see somebody come in from losers, they're warmed up, they're like, yo, you've been sitting for a while, you're cooled off, I'm gonna get you. But like, he really held strong, man.
You want to talk about international esport?
Mhm.
First place, Kilson's from Germany.
Germany, right? Okay.
Razi's from Hungary. Maxter, that was kind of high up there for me. I hadn't really seen him. Argentina. Wenger, I think's from Italy. Chain's from Canada. Rafa's from America. You got Xron, who's from Ukraine. Also, like, 5th place at Quake World Championship, Rod. What do you think you take home?
Oh no! Listen, I looked earlier because I put it in the show. $150,000 prize pool, and they did 24 players. I mean, some of these guys left with like a little under 10K for nowhere near first. Insane.
Yeah, the 17th through 24th place. They made $3,000, which was more than whoever won whatever the hell we're going to talk about in Smash made last week.
Oh god!
I don't even know. I don't even know what we're talking about there. But all I'm saying is, like, Bethesda's putting up the money.
Yeah.
You know? And, as you know, maybe the game's not as popular as it used to be. Maybe it's like a niche kind of thing. These players are still being rewarded for their practice and for the trips that they had to make out there. Because most people had to, like, kind of... Sorry, this wasn't in Romania. Oh, it was in Romania. It was in Bucharest.
Mhm.
Yeah, so, like, if you're not... I don't think I saw a single Romanian player on this list. So if you're not from Romania and you're making the trek out there, you should be able to get some money out of it. But yeah, Rafa, 5th place, still took home $8,500. And he's also on Team Liquid, HBox.
So, like, you know,
Team HBox.
So my question is, you know, if because we've been going over kind of, you know, what QuakeCon is known for, and then of course the state of Quake Champions, despite being in, I guess, finally released. What do you think would have to happen for it to kind of reach that prestige level that it's known for, or used to be known for? It's assuming that we have the opportunity to go back to an in-person event, you know, say next year. You think it's time, you know, for them to announce some kind of new project with a, you know, a new type of Quake and move on from this project, or have them coincide together, or where do you think things should head from here to actually make this something that, you know, represents all the history from before?
Danny, that's a great question, man, and that's why you're the host. Now, I've talked about this a lot with my friends. David and I have kicked this around for years. And part of it was it doesn't seem like arena shooters are that popular. I know Apex added an arena mode, like last year, but that's still a battle royale game at its core. Valorant's more like CS:GO, and there's like the store mechanic that CS:GO has and Valorant has in between rounds. I don't think that's the answer for Quake. Honestly, Quake Champions put people off. I'd say the number one problem with Quake Champions right now is if you've never played a Quake before and you pick that game up, you're going to get your ass kicked. Because the only people playing that game, they've been playing Quake for over 20 years. So I think that it's not very easy to become a new player. I think they need to figure out, maybe that's a mode, maybe it's something as simple as offering a larger kind of battle royale kind of thing. But the other problem I think they did with Champions, and that it's in that word right there, they tried to make it a little like Overwatch, where there's this hero mechanic and each character has their own special. That moved it away, in my opinion, from like the perfect esport that it was with Quake 3 Arena, like, and Quake Live. Quake Live is just it was a web client that for Quake 3 with a bunch of mods and all the maps and stuff. Quake Live was great. That was the problem. Like, I shouldn't say great, it was fine, but Quake Live had everything that players liked, and then Quake Champions kind of shoved this hero mechanic into the game and removed some of the things that players liked from Live. So they divided their community at a horrible time, and the game was in horrible shape for the first few years. You know, I don't know if it was a stream or if I captured a video of it. It was just I did a video of me searching for a deathmatch game in Quake Champions. I sat there for 58 minutes.
Good Lord.
Nothing. And this was years ago, so maybe it's better now. But yeah, like the player base just wasn't there. So it's like really hard, and they've added a lot. The problems that existed in this game in 2018 don't exist today as much, but I think that core problem where it's not like Rocket League is really easy to pick up and play. Smash is really easy to pick up and play. You can suck at it, but you can pick it up and play.
Right.
Quake is not that. It's not easy to pick up and play.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to address that though, Denny. That's a problem that I think all arena shooters have, but Quake especially, because if you don't know the holy trinity of rocket, rail, and lightning gun, like you're gonna get your ass kicked. If you don't know where the mega health spawns on Ruins of Sarnath or whatever, like you're gonna get your ass kicked. So there's people who've been playing these levels, playing these games for a really long time. And I think that barrier to entry is one of the biggest problems the game faces. But to your second point, I think a Quake game, a new one, should be made by id Software. Because this was not made by id Software. Yeah, it runs on id Tech. They provided some support, but they outsourced it to Saber Interactive. I think Doom and Doom Eternal are excellent games.
Yeah.
You know, and they have great single player experiences. So I think one way to bring in people who may not want to play or aren't as experienced in the multiplayer side is to give us a really robust, impressive single player campaign like we saw in Doom 2016 and kind of reboot the series. I think that might be one way to open this up to a new group of people.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I think bringing that kind of energy in, especially because it is a franchise that's on the older side, you know, there's plenty of fresh blood out there that might be willing to give. I mean, look at how many people have played through Doom and Doom Eternal who have not really touched the original titles.
And I think, go back to the other part of its core, when Quake dropped, it forced people to upgrade their computer. I need a Pentium, I need a graphics card, I need a new sound card. Like, this was 1996 that happened, but it changed everything. Like, it was pushing our industry forward. The next Quake, if they were to do that, should be one of those games. It should be a game where you see it on Series X or you see it on an RTX and you're like, this is the most gorgeous, most intense, like, just crazy, stylized kind of game. And I know that, like, you look at Quake now and it's just 50 Shades of Brown and it's like, people have, like, very blocky heads and stuff and there's the 9 Inch Nails boxes. But, like, at the time, it was revolutionary what they were doing with polygons, what they were doing with 3D rendering.
Yo, sorry, not to cut you guys off. I'm looking at the Twitch chat, and Romsteady just gifted a sub to like everything moving in here.
Yo, Rom coming through. Look at the
Oh,
rolling.
God.
Yo,
Tier
my
1
man's
subs. This is at least
just
30, 40 people here.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Blown it up in here.
I didn't even know there were that many people watching.
Yo, 100 tier 1 subs from Romsteady. He is gifting a small army here with the sub.
Seriously. Well, thank you very much, Romsteady. What a top boy. Also, someone who is a former Quake pro. Romsteady, one of the best Quake players maybe on the chatty in his time, so he's probably loving this Quake talk right now.
Yeah,
but
give a round of applause there for your commitment to the franchise over here. Well, yes, no, I agree with you though. I think that like this is opportunity for like Quake to take a step into being the definitive arena shooter again as well. Maybe reinvent the wheel a little bit, but also keep things in a way that if it's a situation where arena shooters just aren't as popular, then you should be the one. Like, step into that space and then become the one, so that for people that are both on the the other end who are familiar with the franchise and people that are coming in who may want to take that leap, find a way to bridge that gap in a way that makes sense.
I agree, and I mean like, there's that game Diabolical that came out a few years ago, and it's basically better than Quake Champions in every way, and it does a lot of those things, and I love the style of the game. You're like these little circular robot, like balls that float around, but it has it feels like Quake 3. Like the mechanics are Quake 3. Oddly enough, it's built on Unreal Engine. But no, Romstay with another 10,000 bits. Jeez. Thank you so much,
Good
Romstay.
lord.
We appreciate
Millions
you.
is big money over here. I like
Yeah.
to see it. But,
Was it my sub threat? Was that did it? Was it that?
Rob
Who
was
knows?
coming out here with the steel chair. You know, he's trying to double team up with Asif. It's like, look, I'm not the only one anymore.
But yeah, I don't know if an arena shooter by itself is enough. I agree with that. I think
No, I have a single player idea
Quake-
too. I want all
yeah.
of that. Give me
Yeah,
all
I
of that.
think I think a single player game made by id Software, where it really showcases their ability to design levels and design weapons and design enemies, like letting a whole new group of people attack Quake in that way, I think would open it up to a new world, because then it's more than just a multiplayer game. Because I think multiplayer games by themselves are probably headed towards free to play. If you're just a multiplayer only game, like I think that's where we're headed with that. But if you look at Smash, for instance, like I thought World of Light was actually pretty entertaining. It got repetitive, but like it was, at least it was something. It was no Subspace Emissary or anything, but like it was decent.
There's definitely
Yeah.
opportunity here. I feel like especially if the kind of history involved, there's no reason not to go for it. And just
Yeah.
especially I mean it's Bethesda and Ed and everyone else
And
involved. Like,
Microsoft
come on.
now.
Yeah,
like Microsoft. I think if Microsoft, they should put id on like everything. They should put id on Halo. They should have a Halo campaign made by id. They should have a
now
Quake
you're
campaign
spinning.
made by id. Yeah, like take id Tech and just explore different IP in id Tech. But id Tech was built, well, obviously for Doom, but also for freaking Quake. And like, yeah, I would like to see them make a single player Quake, because that enters it into a whole world of speed running and all sorts of other stuff that like it could go viral for a completely different reason than
Yeah.
it did back in '96.
This is the
'Cause
time.
I don't think you're going to capture the magic of 1996 in a bottle again, though. That 96 through 99 period was one of the most legendary times for first-person shooters we'll ever see, because there were still things happening. Jump was added, like weapons. Like you look at the weapons in Duke Nukem 3D, or the weapons in Quake, or the weapons in Unreal. Like they were just figuring stuff out. Facing Worlds was made. Like the level design was still having breakthroughs. I agree with Rom that we're not there right now, where like arena games are largely kind of the same, but at the same time you have right now you have 3D Realms releasing games like Ion Fury, which are built on the build engine, so they're not high fidelity or anything, but they're just fun, and they have really great level design and destructible environments and stuff. So like, yeah, I think that there is a way to do that. Yeah, and
There's plenty of
the engine was
opportunity to
built-
go up. I feel like when Quake Champions is where you're at right now as far as the level goes, I think this is an opportunity to make some moves in a way that makes sense. You got Microsoft behind you. You got plenty of tech.
This is the most anyone has talked about Quake Champions on Twitch outside of their own channel in like a year.
Yeah.
So they can the bar is insanely low, to your point.
Yeah, it's like take some risks in a way that you may not get away with on a Halo from Microsoft right now, but you might be able to pull some of that in Quake.
And also, like, if you look at the Quake universe, it's so weird. It's like futuristic, but it's also like kind of, there's like this old timey, God, what the hell do you call it? I can't remember the name of the term. Like the style, it's like a gothic, like some levels you feel like you're in the future, some you feel like you're in an old timey fortress or something. Like, it's just, I think that franchise, it's kind of like Prey, where you could do anything with Prey and people would be like, okay. Like, I kind of feel that way with Quake. Like, as long as the game has a rocket launcher and a railgun and a lightning gun, I don't think anyone's going to complain. And that was another thing they screwed up with at the launch of Quake Champions. They changed where the rocket spawned in the rocket launcher when you fired it. So no one knew how to rocket jump at first. because everyone had that rocket jump from 96 all the way to now memorized, and they changed the timing of it. They spent like the next 6 months fixing it, so it's fine now. But that was like one of those things where it's like, that's when I was like, whoever's making this game is focused on the wrong thing. It was not about where the rocket spawns in the rocket launcher. Like, it was like, maybe you didn't need to try to be like Overwatch, because at the same time we saw Lawbreakers fall flat on its face too, right? So it's like, it wasn't just Quake that was chasing that Overwatch trend, but like, you know, these characters. Quake 1 was the result of, oh shit, we need to ship something. That's very true. And they divided and conquered. Like, go read Rocket Jump. Like, the story of the different episodes, how Romero took his maps, and American McGee took his maps, and Sandy Peterson took his maps. Like, it's just, that was a sprint. That was definitely a sprint. And then, yeah, Quake 2 came out. No one likes it except for me, and I love Quake 2.
I mean, I'd love to see kind of some more of moving in that direction, especially if it's a situation where you have a return to form, definitive competitive scene, and you had an opportunity to maybe get some intermingling with both the PC and Microsoft, and Xbox and things, like.
Yeah. That is the thing. Like, Microsoft needs games. Like, their Xbox. I don't know what the hell the Xbox lineup is this year.
It's Halo co-op.
That's what I mean. Like, in a world where Game Pass for PC exists, I don't know why I need an Xbox. Like, I still need a PlayStation if I want to play new releases soon, right? Like, because they have their exclusive. I still need a Switch for the same reason, and I don't pirate games or run ROMs or anything. But like, yeah, Microsoft should just lean into these like high-end PC games that they could really have an amazing portfolio there.
Yeah.
What Rom's saying is dead right. Quake 2 perfected the railgun. I mean, the railgun wasn't in 1, but they nailed it. And then Quake 3 was this balance of excellent level design, amazing weapon design, and just everyone's graphics cards and computers finally catching up to what they were doing. I think that's another thing they could do. Like, have Quake be a showpiece for your hardware. Like, push that freaking Xbox Series X to the limit. Have it running at 120 FPS and everything. Like, have it be this like showpiece software. That's one way where
to make it more interesting than Crysis. Like, it's not just a showpiece.
That's what I mean, though. Like, make it take risks, make it entertaining. Like, make a single player experience. Even take risks with the multiplayer modes. Like, mess around and see what Battle Royale feels like. Just to see. Just put 64 players.
I would love to have them lean in that way instead of it just being the Halo show and then watching it, just having the hope and pray that you're getting something that's actually decent.
I know that people at id Software still care deeply about Quake, and I've asked them at times about if they would make a Quake single player, and they were very cagey about it, but because we haven't heard shit from id Software this year.
I was gonna say that would be a story instantly.
Like, what are they doing? Like, we haven't heard. I think there was a little Doom Eternal DLC work, but like, that studio, that A team at id Software, they're not sitting on their hands. So hopefully this is what they're working on, or maybe they're helping other studios implement id Tech on their stuff. But you look at the FPS arsenal that they have over at Microsoft now. They own COD, they own Halo, and they own Doom and Quake. It's like, what else do you need? Like, somewhere over there's a good game, guys. Make it. They also own Overwatch. My bad. They also own Overwatch.
And they still have the unprecedented stuff like Redfall and such that are coming through at some point. So it's time. I mean, I feel like that's you brought up all the good points. I feel like because it is.
Clearly, I thought about this.
Yeah, clearly.
And I mean, David, you can go listen. You can go listen to Shackcast from like 4 years ago, and David and I are still talking about that. Like, it's unfortunate that we haven't. Yeah, Overwatch. Yes, Overwatch, Rod.
I just love you guys dunk on Overwatch.
No, look, I'm not dunking on Overwatch here. I'm actually pointing at Overwatch as a success of a hero shooter. I actually
Overwatch can't even get the Overwatch again right now.
no,
I know.
Overwatch 2 isn't going to live up to Overwatch, but my point was like Overwatch with those character trailers. I know it's been almost 2 years since our last Shackcast. I'll get into it later. No, but yeah, like Overwatch caught lightning in a bottle. Like those trailers when they were announcing new characters, those cinematics were awesome. Like I love Blizzard cinematics; they're really entertaining to watch. But yeah, I wouldn't view Overwatch as a failure. Overwatch 2 though, they're trying to make it more like a traditional esport with the 5 characters, but then there's still role queues. Like they need to figure out a lot over there.
I mean,
But
when
you just
everyone
look at
attached
this.
is leaving, it is hard.
Yeah. But you look at Microsoft's IP portfolio of FPS, there's a shit ton of shooters over there. And then, Sony bought Destiny. But, like, it's weird. Like, you're like, you guys have to have some group of people who can make a great shooter on the, whoever didn't quit, whoever didn't take their money hats and run out the door. Like, there's got to be someone there, or even a younger group of devs who are hungry that want a chance at these IPs, that really care about it. I will say this. Gearbox, and this must have been E3 2018, I think.
Mhm.
They showed a game called Project 1v1, and it is by far my favorite arena shooter that I've played in the last 5 years. It doesn't exist. It's like it was like a figment of my imagination. Randy Pitchford threw some pixie dust in the air. We got to play it for a week, and then it was gone forever. But the idea was that more than 2 people queue up in a game, and you 1v1 each other, but then it's like the next few people in line get to spectate. So then once winner stays, basically, like an arcade kind of rule, right? So it's like quarter up, winner stays. And it was really fun, man. We played it at Judges Week, and Greg and I just wiped the floor with every other journalist in there. It was funny because Shacknews founder Steve Gibson was sitting there watching us do it at the time. So it's like it was definitely a pet project of his and Randy's. Haven't heard a word about it since, but I remember bumping into them, and if they're listening, feel free to steal this idea again. That game would have been perfect for the hero shooter mechanic. Because you think about all the IP Gearbox has, right? Which includes Duke Nukem, all that Borderlands stuff, Aliens, like there's all sorts of weird IP over there. And now you look at what Embracer owns, right? You could put together this ridiculous roster, and then you make it this 1v1 game. But yeah, I enjoyed that game a lot. I thought it would be a great esport. It had spectate built in from the jump. It was like built around that idea that you were going to spectate. You got to almost scout the person that you're about to play, which I like, because like you never get to see that sort of thing.
But get the people curious now. We'll have to make that something to talk about.
Every time I get a chance to talk to Randy or just even interact with him on Twitter, I'll ask him about it. And it's not dead. He said it's not dead. So I'm like, okay, they're just sitting on it. Obviously, like Tiny Tina's Wonderlands was a better financial play, probably. But like, esports, I think, have a very long tail. So if you do have a game that does hit that, like, it's worth putting it out there, maybe even as a free game, and then giving it care over time. Look at Fortnite. Fortnite was not the biggest game on Earth. It was in early access and people didn't like it. It was kind of a weird tower defense game a little. And then they pivoted. So like, I think some of these games need to be out in the wild to benefit from that. But yeah, I don't know. I would love to see a new Quake though. I also just want to know what the hell id Software's up to.
Yeah.
Cause that's weird. Cause like going back to QuakeCon, not hearing from them, like not seeing Marty on stage, that's weird.
It is.
It's very weird, but it was also a subdued event. Microsoft has events now, so maybe they're saving it for some Microsoft event later this year or next year, or who knows.
Well, you want to talk about a game that's not getting saved anytime soon, or probably ever, and it's Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Save yourself.
Yeah, it's not. Asif, did you just tell the community to save itself?
Yeah. I
No, they
did.
can't do
That
that.
was a
They're
very
babies.
Empire answer there. That felt very Star Wars.
No, I'm just like,
Save
who
yourself,
you? Don't look at
citizens.
me. Don't look at me. I'm not gonna help. Like, good luck. Good luck, Smashers.
You
Right.
want bread and water?
Yeah.
out and hunt.
So
You
what
know-
the hell happened this weekend? I saw a little bit of it, Rod. I couldn't bring myself to watch it. I'm burnt out on watching offline Smash, Rod. That's how you know there's too much damn offline Smash if I'm not watching it. I was fiending for this. I couldn't wait to watch this 2 years ago. Oh, I would have loved to watch Rise and Grind. But now I'm like, after Smash Con, after Evo, I'm going to take a little weekend off. Like, I watched a little Quake. That was about it. Oh, by the way, RLCS was last weekend. So there's just like, this didn't feel like the week for me to be sitting inside watching stuff all weekend.
Not, so first and foremost, I don't want to take anything away from any TO. I think obviously it takes a lot to put stuff together. I think, Asif, you know that better than anybody else. You've been putting shit together for years. I think the fact of the matter is, though, is that, yes, there are too many tournaments and there aren't enough narratives being upheld. A Melee tournament, I could watch a Melee tournament every weekend. Street Fighter, give me a Street Fighter tournament every weekend. Marvel, I know the narratives, I know the guys, I know the stories, but right now, the only narrative that's really there is Leo's the best. Everything out after him gets kind of blurry. And then there's Onin, this Steve that everybody hates Steve but loves Onin. Then some people love Onin but hate Steve. And it's weird right now.
Hold on a second. The prize pool. Also, you had to go to Waco, Texas for this. You had to go to Waco, right? So factor this into the prize pool. Prize pool was $7,005. That is less than Rafa got for placing 5th in Quake.
Is there like some crowdfunding happening here? Like
Not,
7,005? Why the 7? Why the 5?
So last year I went to Port Priority. I did some interviews and stuff, and I might have been one of the few articles I wrote on the tournament. I can't remember, but we went, and I felt like, okay, after this, there's going to be a boom of tournaments for the next year. Rise and Grind was announced there, and Rise and Grind is a culmination of really what was supposed to be blurry chapter of Smash being upheld by two very strong TOs, Cags and Grayola. Two guys that had a very big hand in the online era, and then, of course, whose efforts kind of helped shape the offline era as we went back into things. They're like, okay, we want to do a major now. And so it's one of those things where it's like, we know you can do it, and we know you do a damn good job, but are you sure you really want to do this? Because there's a lot of tournaments. And I felt like when we were back in April, we had Pound, Genesis, and Low Tide City back-to-back weekends. And we interviewed Leo, and he talked about, man, there's a lot of tournaments. I don't know if I want to play. Burnout, boom, #1 player in the world. At that time, arguably second best player in the world, Spargo was like, taking some time to work on myself. A lot of tournaments, mental health. And he's saying that under the age of 18. So this is serious. Here we are again. Multiverses tournament at the top of the month if you did that at EVO. Super Smash Con, Rise and Grind, and then we have Shine next weekend. And I'm like, guys, these are just too many tournaments. Yes, multiverses could count, or, as one, maybe not as one. But if you played and or even went to EVO, the fact that you're at a tournament, still you're going to feel the burnout. Also, Shine is next weekend. It's not on either circuit. It's getting weird right now.
Like, based on the age group that plays this game, I know not all of them are in school, but there's high school and there's college that's going back into session right now. So it's going to be harder for these people to travel. So, like, maybe they're trying
still
to get...
being in a whole pandemic, still in a...
Oh, yeah. Oh, forget that, Denny. Like,
pandemic's over, Denny.
No one cares. Like, it's kind of ridiculous at this point. Like, no one fucking cares at all. I know there's people that care, but, like, it feels like no one cares. And Twitch had to be, like, begged to just require masks and vaccination status. Like, yeah.
Still looking
rough. But, okay, so I watched a little bit of this, Rod. It was Leo versus a Rob main. I can't remember. What was his name?
Anathema is how it's pronounced.
Yeah. And yeah, Leo looks good.
Yeah.
That's all I can really say. I'm like, I saw him play, and I was like, yes, guys, he's still very good. And like, this did not feature a lot of people that were at SmashCon last week. You know,
Yeah.
so this is what I would expect. Like Dark Wizzy showed up in he showed up in the top 3 of doubles. But yeah, like this top 4, that's a weird list, man. Outside of Zomba, you know, I saw Louise had some major wins early on.
Yeah,
Onan,
beating Onan, which was
yeah.
nice.
Did he beat Leo? Didn't lose, did he?
I don't believe so. No,
No,
I'm gonna
Leo.
double check the bracket. I
Yeah,
don't think he lost.
yeah. Leo beat Kirby Kid, Myron, Atomic, and then Jared is king. So
Yes, he's
this didn't even have that big of a player pool. Like there were no pools. It was just bracket. Right?
no, and it was just one of those where like it was a gold tier stop, I believe, on the Smash World Tour, if I'm not mistaken. And then it's streamed by BTS, which was a strange combination right there, like streamed by BTS, but on the World Tour.
What?
Yeah, this wasn't streamed by VG. And I just felt like, again, this is Texas being Texas. Like, they've always done their own thing. They've always figured out how to put two things together.
Does VG have an event in Texas, Ron?
With the exception of the finals in San Antonio, I don't believe so.
Okay. So maybe it's kind of like a territory thing. Like these guys, they have people who can live stream there. Like I know when VG does something, they have to ship their equipment where they're going. It's a whole thing, or they fly with it. So yeah, maybe because I know BTS. It's weird calling them that because there's this world famous band called that too. But BTS has like several events in Texas every year. Like I know they did the low tide, right?
Yes, they did the main stream for Low Tide, while Tourney Locator did the second stream. So they got a pretty big hand down there, and it felt like again, this is a good tournament. I think by today's standards, it was ran as solidly as possible. But I also think by today's standards, with 2 world tours and with like double the events, this month being one of the ones where we have quadruple tournaments each weekend of the month, I think we have to figure out a way to spread this out. Like, I'm glad that they were able to get this under their belt. These are 2 very hardworking TOs, but we can't have this sandwich between Shine and SmashCon again. That's insane.
Yeah, and okay, so I'm looking at the notable entrants. Onan, obviously, the Steve Main, who did not win.
Nope.
Throwing that out there. No one. Sakurai didn't have to come down from the heavens and patch the game either. He just lost. Because sometimes people lose at video games. Sometimes they're on and sometimes they're not. And Onan had been on 4 for 4 leading into this. Now he's 4 for 5.
That's right.
Just saying. Meister was a late scratch from this. Tweak was a late scratch from this.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say Zomba, another big person there. Mute Ace, Cosmos, Chag. Obviously, the Mexican players had decent representation there because it's not that far of a hike for them. I don't know where they're coming from because if they were still in Virginia, I guess you just fly to Texas before you go home. Skittles was in this.
My boy.
Yeah, like you're not like there's no gluttony here. There's no Tweak. And you could argue like Tweak may be having the best Smash year I've ever seen. All he had to do was win 1 summit, and he made $50K.
It's true.
And then he was like, "I'm out." He's like, "I'm out. I'll see you guys at World Tour, at the finals or something." But like, I think Tweak's kind of having an awesome year. Like, I know he's not playing a lot, but you look at the money he earned based on the time he's put towards this. I'm like, way to go, Tweak. And I know he's struggled in the past, so it's good to see this.
Yeah, and I think too the Tweak talks, and this could be a rumor, but I'm pretty sure it's going to get picked up by some streaming service here pretty soon. So, I mean, he's doing what he was always supposed to do, which is like become the top player and start creating content. I know that was a big deal for him because back in Smash 4, one of the summits he wanted to get in, and of course he definitely had the resume to prove why he should be, but then the community was also like, bro, there's no content. You're not all that pleasant to listen to and talk to. Like, what's up with it? So, like, I'm glad he's taken that step on his own. Like, he didn't let anybody push him to do it. He's like, hey, I found my out. I'm not like Esam, I'm not like Wadi. I'm a podcast guy, and people like it.
And he's also a good streamer. Like, you can watch him play, and like that. I think at the end of the day, some of these excellent players just need to play on stream, and people will watch. Some people aren't going to be the face of the scene. You know what I mean? I don't think Tweak needs to be the face of the scene, but one of the best players, undeniably, and he has a very insane talent at picking up new characters. Like, he is extremely good at that. He's good at picking up characters and mastering them. And I can't wait to see him at the next event, because, like, was he at SmashCon?
Yes, he was.
Okay.
He was at SmashCon as well. I did talk to him and his partner B. And with Rise and Grind too, I think even though it was a smaller bracket, we didn't have like a lot of the notable names and entries. Like, this also gave, obviously, with Sam Turner Breath, gave other players opportunity to get up there and struck their stuff. Anathema and Zamba. Statistically, Zamba is, the better Rob just due to his placing, but Anathema freed him up. It was really bad.
What was I talking about a few weeks ago?
Something about one of those
Rob.
that you love.
I was talking about Rob. I was saying that everyone is sleeping on Rob. We're all talking about how Steve is the problem, and I'm over here like, you guys are ignoring Rob. Like, Rob is a problem.
LeBron James right here.
I'm just like pointing at Rob. I'm like, hey, you remember Rob the robot? That guy.
You're not wrong, boss man. You are not wrong. I mean,
I'm just saying, like, and then what? 2 of the top 4, Rod?
Yeah.
When was the last time we had 2 of the top 4 place as Steve? We haven't.
We haven't. I don't think we've had
haven't.
That every tournament had one.
Oh, let's ban Rob. No. Let's celebrate that Rob is out there in the streets whooping ass. Rob's kit is fantastic, man. I know I'm a Kirby main, but I am pretty nasty with Rob, dude. Rob is fucking great. And, like, I love to see it. Obviously, Rob versus Aegis is not going to work, especially because Leo practices with Rob, too. It's, like, probably his 3rd best character right now, maybe 4th best.
I would probably say 3rd. You got it right. I think it's about 3rd.
Like, it goes Aegis, Joker, right, and then Rob. But like, I've seen him pull it out. Like, I think down in Cuba, he was playing with Rob.
Yep. He played Chad. He played Rob the whole tournament, just a way to see where he was at, and then he busted it out as well at Double Down for a few matches, and it actually almost beat Proto, but Proto, the Iceman, just iced Leo's ass out, and that was it. That was that.
Mm-hmm.
But we also got Sispy as well, who, of course, one of the best probably the best Dark Samus / Samus main just in general. I absolutely hate fighting Samus, and not because she's a spammy character, but her normals are insane. Those hitboxes are nutty, but he makes his character look damn good. Then there was also Ned representing Chicago right there. If he was representing for all my deep dish lovers up there, Denny, you know what I'm saying? He did it for us in the Midwest. We also had Jared as King, Onan, and then Louis Money. So Louis Money didn't win, obviously, but in our hearts, I think he won because he was able to beat Onan, and we don't have to carry on the Steve narrative anymore. It's back to the
look at that. It only took a couple weeks before.
It took 2 weeks.
But
also
next week
he beat him. He beat Steve with Palutena. It wasn't like some crazy top tier character. Like, Paula's kind of light, kind of getting her ass kicked in Ultimate compared to 4. Like, it's not like he was picking crazy characters. I know he played a little with Fox as well, but Fox is also not top tier in Ultimate. Kind of higher mid tier.
Yeah, he's somewhere in, like, I think, Fox is probably like top 10, top 15. I think the meta definitely fluctuates. Palu is, like you said, definitely had a bit of a fall from grace. In the beginning of Ultimate, I always feel like I'm talking like in the Holy Bible, like before DLC and then post DLC. You know what I'm saying? Like, before DLC, she was not to be trifled with. Just like Villager in Smash 4. Like, this character is good, but once DLC comes through, everything gets, kind of funky. And, I think she's a better character than what she was in 4, but with Steve and Min Min and Joker, I mean, that's just not saying much these days, It's not saying much. So
Leo and Chag also won the doubles tournament.
Yes.
And they won the hefty prize of $632 for that feat.
Just enough to get you back home in a night in a hotel room.
I don't think so.
Probably
have
not.
You, have you looked at flight prices lately? And they're flying international. Both of those are Mexican nationals there. So that's
I don't.
Yeah,
that's the one thing I've noticed the most is just like, where is the return on investment? outside of like.
Well, you got to think about it from the org perspective too, Denny. Right? Like, because you got Leo is on T1. I don't know if Chag is sponsored.
No, Chag is not sponsored yet.
Chag is not sponsored.
I don't believe so. No.
That's the other thing. There's a lot of people on here that aren't sponsored at all. So you got to think in those situations, those people are paying to fly to these things. They're paying for their hotel, and it's not.
There's so many events already for multiple tours.
But good for Leo. He got his 400 points ahead for the Smash World Tour, which I'm going to go back to another narrative. Leo only cares about Smash World Tour. I'm going to throw it out there.
He was the Ultimate Summit qualifier too, wasn't it, or whatever?
Oh, was this an Ultimate? He's already in the Summit, though.
Yeah, there's like no universe where he doesn't make it. And I think it's quite obvious, like, you know.
So when is the next Summit?
September 15th. So it's coming up here pretty soon.
Okay.
I know, right? Another and the Summit, and then Glitch, and then there's a PAX at the top of the month that Panda's doing something with. Like, there's just too many events. There's too many.
Panda is doing something at PAX.
I think they're doing like a small. I don't know. They just announced something that I had no idea even about, but they announced that they're doing something with PAX. It's like
we announced that this week
or
like this weekend.
You know what? Since we're here, let me look this up real quick.
Yeah, when did they announce this? Because that seems like very short notice.
Yeah, like I mean, flights are not cheap. And if you tell me
especially
something
over Labor Day. Labor Day flights are expensive.
Man,
I don't know. Yeah, man, I could really disrupt the Smash scene. That's all I gotta say. I look at this shit and I'm like, that's your prize pool? I spent more than that on GameStop options today.
Well, there is another scene that,
but I'm actually gonna get a return from them, maybe.
Yes. But you know, in the meantime, there is another scene that does seem to be having some success. Of course, it's also free to play. But
that's right.
Multiverses was pulling up some big numbers after
20
its
million
first month of release.
Yeah, we were talking about this in Slack, Denny. You brought up a good point that it's not just that it's free, but that crossplay function is huge. Because and it was something I brought up in my review of Madden. Like, you create this financial burden on people if, like, you know, Denny, you're talking about playing with your friends. Like, you have to be on Xbox to do it in Madden, but like, it's a free game, and I can play it on my PS5 or I can play it on my computer with my friends on any platform, like except for Nintendo Switch.
Yeah,
that's cool. Like, I think that Multiverses deserves that.
People underestimate the power of convenience, especially when it comes to people that aren't paying bills. If you tell me that I can hop, if my little cousin can hop on and play on, whatever console or whatever after school, with his friends, they're gonna put in the time and hours on that easily.
Yeah,
I don't have to ask mommy and daddy for a new game before I hop on this.
Yeah,
it's not even that expensive to get like the character unlocks. If you like, it's like $20 or something. So like, even if you buy it, but they didn't have 20 million players before Evo, so clearly this is something. I think that Evo tournament helped.
I think it did too, because I have buddies back in Nebraska, and I'm talking like far removed from like esports, like as we know it, and they're like, "Hey, just downloaded this new game called Multiverses. Who wants their ass beat?" And my brain is like, "Okay, he doesn't know what he's talking about because I know he's beating my ass." But I need to look at this as actually this game is expanding into new horizons, like Fortnite was. Like, it was boom. Yep. Whereas actually, no, boom, Avengers Endgame. We're everywhere now. And I think Multiverses is going to be that.
Yeah, I think that I think your comparison to Fortnite is pretty solid, because the free-to-play nature, the way that they're exciting their fan base by releasing new characters, like, it's something that Smash can't do right now. Smash is done. So the timing of this is perfect. You're before Street Fighter 6, right? Like, you're before whatever the hell NetherRealm's doing. So like, you're in this nice window where you can announce stuff in the summer. People are going to be into it. I gotta say, from a game standpoint, they had a rough week last week. That patch was brutal.
Yeah,
it got hotfixed. They were pushing hotfixes every few hours for like 4 days. Tourney and his whole team over there at Player First, they're busting their ass to try and make this game as good as possible. But like, I have to ask, why rush out Season 1 if like you announce the delay right before Evo or right after Evo, and then like it felt like the delay wasn't really that long. It was like a week or something. Like you
Yeah,
could have taken a month, polished everything up. I don't think anyone would have been mad.
I guess it
I don't
depends
think
on
so
like how much
either.
of the season is actually happening up front because I know that like Morty drops tomorrow, but
Hmm.
they showed off characters, but they didn't give a
That's
time
right.
frame.
Like we don't know when Rick drops, and then there's also Black Adam and Spike now. So now there's like three characters that we don't know when they're gonna drop. But that's three characters. Yep, thanks for tuning in, Rob, and thank you for the subs and the bits.
Yeah, salute.
Yeah, like we don't know when any of those trailers will drop. I do think that like they seem to have built their own community already. That's
Yes, they're
interested in the game. They're creating content for the game. Like, yeah, I think that's like huge.
Yeah,
they're
I
doing it
did
in a way
want
that
to.
Nick just wouldn't do either. Because like every community is like, okay, start the on brand Discord. Like we're in charge of this Discord, but like that's not really a good representation of the community because there's things that like you can and can't do. You can't post your streams. You can't post certain things. There are like at least 3 hacked multiverses Discords that are just, I mean, popping people. Where's the matches? When's the next tournament? I don't care what the prize pool is. I just want to play, And they're perfectly content with playing online, but they want that narrative, that tournament bracket thing attached to it. And I think it's just a beautiful thing to see. 20 million players is just, it's insane. I mean, it's not insane, because obviously like it's free to play, but damn, like 20 million this fast? That's just, it's amazing.
So I'm looking at their Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
They have 370,000 followers on the
Holy.
Multiverse's Twitter. Like
Yeah,
that's pretty solid. That's up a lot.
it was a big
I,
jump
I don't.
when that LeBron and the other stuff dropped, and people realized
Hmm.
the scale of the game itself.
Yeah.
And plus,
So
like
yeah,
Tony and other
it's.
folks are actually communicating with the community off rip, so people are
Mhm.
like, I can actually go here and find out there's some conversation happening, or they're asking us about the newest patch, or there's a reason for
I'm
us to check it out.
seeing. I'm seeing people put Multiverses Pro in their bios, Twitter too. So like
Yeah, the
that is
culture's starting. The
that's
culture's here now.
happening. That's
Yeah,
people that are
which means
like,
esports teams will start picking them up soon. Hopefully, like this is going to get crazy.
yeah. I mean, you got Nakat who proudly announces that he is the Evo champion.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously him and Void. Void's probably on to like 4 other games already. Like, I
Hey, but
don't
being the
know.
first, that's still. I mean, Evo can
Yeah,
always give you some prestige for him.
yeah. That's something you can. They can't take that away from you. You got that medal, like that. That grand final, that's 6-0. I
Oh,
can't take that away. That's
dude,
that's
every time
that's
the cat goes live, the notification says live Evo champion, like boom, boom, like he's letting it be known, like, hey,
yeah.
we are to
They're
go.
they're pounding their chest, man, as they should. No, I think that's great. Oh, patch notes for tomorrow just dropped.
Oh,
Oh
The
damn.
server.
got breaking news over here.
Uh-oh.
Let's see. This
Oh
is just a
Lord.
server only. Uh, Morty will be arriving. I'm gonna have to get this over to Shacknews
Yeah,
Slack.
yeah, yeah. Go ahead and make that. I mean, while you're pulling that up, I can read a little quote from the president of WV Games over here.
Mhm.
David he brought up that we have this wide array of IP from our deep catalog of characters, stories, and worlds, and that alone, I feel like so. Oh, I'm sorry, I cut it off. So we think that alone is a real point of distinction for us over competition. So they're leaning heavily into the IP in the near term. The way I'm thinking about that, the word of the multiverse, in terms of community and players, is that it is attached to computing power at a screen. Our community that comes together, ideally on a daily active habit basis, and having something for them to engage in around interactive play means more playtime, more matches, and we're emphasizing players spending more time on the game with this IP. That's a focus from day one. So it sounds like they are big on playtime. Obviously, it is free to play, but they're giving the community ways to get involved, and they plan on expanding that. It seems like
Yep.
with some of the opportunities for community interaction down the line.
Okay.
Oh.
More nerfs for Iron Giant. That's good.
Ah, yeah, yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Fixed a bug for Superman that would allow Superman to grapple enemies that wall bounce even if his hitboxes did not connect. That's good. for the Taz line, they just say Taz buffs incoming in the next patch. So a lot of what they talked about in the last patch about Taz, they didn't do yet, but it's going to be coming. Another nerf for Velma.
I'm here for that. Think about it. Yes.
Air, ground, down special. Velma, the educated buff reduced cooldown return from 75% over 8 seconds to 50% for over 8 seconds. So that's considerable. Harley got a buff. Reduced extra damage taken from 14% to 5%. We're evaluating if this passive should be removed entirely.
Yeah.
The assassin passive, Rod. We want to take a step towards that while trying not to go too far too fast. We don't want to create an assassin-dominated meta. Oh, that's interesting.
Okay.
This is the kind of conversation I like to hear, though. They're thinking long term for sure.
Yeah. Move list description of this change will not be updated until the next patch. Interesting. They might entirely remove the assassin passive. That's interesting.
I mean, I do like the fact that they're being open and transparent about like certain things that they might deem a little heavy in the meta, but to remove something altogether, I don't know if I like that. I like the openness though. Like I like that they're being open with us about it, but I don't know if we should.
It definitely feels like the state of the game right now. Maybe that's what season 1 is for. Maybe this is like what the game is going to be moving forward as a core is going to be established in this first season before they start doing anything else with additional characters and like rolling out the big guns. It may be this period of time where it's just getting more people playing the game and seeing how it plays out.
Before they introduce Sub-Zero and Scorpion and destroy the meta even further.
I mean, I'm thinking like Gandalf and Neo.
Like, yeah, that's right. Gandalf.
Getting in some like wild ass characters.
Wait, Gandalf? No. Because Gandalf's owned by Embracer now.
Wait, is he?
Yeah, you're right. But maybe they might have had this already signed.
They might have had a deal before that. Yeah, you're right. No, Embracer bought like half of video games last week, Rod. They bought limited run games. They bought
You just had those guys on.
Yeah. Like we just talked to them at E6. We've talked to them. We love limited run games here at Shacknews. Congratulations to everyone over there. They just got acquired by Embracer. Embracer, I think they let's see if I can find this. Shacknews, Embracer. They bought like everything. It was a $576 million list of acquisitions, right? So they acquired the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit IP. Tripwire Interactive, like the folks that make Killing Floor and Maneater. Tuxedo Labs, the folks that make Teardown. And Singtrix, which is a karaoke software experience. They got acquired too. And then and I wrote this in my article. I was particularly fond of this sentence. The announcement also includes the announcement of an unannounced acquisition to be announced at a later time.
Nah. Is it like... I mean, I guess it's not as funky as a kind of digital Dungeons and Dragons with lasers, but it's definitely up there. What the hell?
Yeah, but they're like, yes. So before you think all of this was worth $560 million, or $576 million, there was this other thing we didn't tell you about yet. Okay,
it's still behind the gate.
But yeah, that's a long way for me to say that Warner does not own the Lord of the Rings IP, so they would have to license it. But that doesn't mean they wouldn't license it. It's hard to say. And you're right, Denny. These deals could have been in place beforehand because there's already there's a Hobbit game coming out, right? Or a Schmeagol game or whatever, a Gollum, whatever the hell.
Gollum.
I think so.
It was a Gollum title. I think they had some mobile thing too.
Yeah, but they do have the Harry Potter IP, and that's
that's
they're gonna bring some Harry Potter to this.
Of course,
that just prints.
Have Voldemort in there, wild out.
Rod, you want more bad guys, right? Like Voldemort's kind of the penultimate bad guy.
He's the one. I don't know if any of the... Well, I almost fixed my lips to say it. I don't know if there's any franchises that have a bad guy worse than Voldemort, but that's not true because Darkseid's a pretty horrible ass dude. But Voldemort's up there. Strong.
And so the general perks also got some changes. Ice to beat you, projectiles will only apply ice debuff to fighters that are not already debuffed by ice. So you can't stack it, I guess. I'll take that. Unstacked cooldown refund decreased from half a second to 0.25 seconds. Stacked cooldown refund decreased from 1 second to half a second.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up that it looks like they increased the XP for Battle Pass matches too. So
Yeah, that's good. It did feel like a little bit of a grind. Fixed a bug where ability cooldowns may not trigger when projectiles respond close to terrain. That's weird. Yeah, they've had some weird bugs that they're just fixing. So I agree, Denny. I think that like some of these higher value IP may not get put in this game until they're happy with the way it's functioning.
yeah, because the worst thing you want to do is to introduce a new character and then it breaks whatever established meta you have on top of like other problems.
Just Harry Potter
into,
dittos. Just Harry Potter dittos everywhere.
Arya Stark also got a buff, and it was also the exact same assassin passive thing. So they're clearly worried about assassins taking over the meta.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, having that kind of stuff start to balance out before you start introducing your big guns, because you don't want to be in a situation where like you're planning an entire season around some character releases and then they're terrible.
They buffed Finn. I'm shaking my fist at you, Tourney.
Looks like Garnet's getting some buffs too, but they haven't been announced yet. So.
Increased damage from 5 to 6. The base damage is increased by holding and charging an attack.
At least they didn't fuck with the coins. Like all those coins, the coin nerfs are still there.
Yeah.
This is gonna happen though. Like they're gonna overcorrect and then have to, correct back the other way. I'm really curious to see like what's gonna be the next, kind of relevant tourney scene.
I'm also interested to see Morty in action.
Yeah.
Curious to watch Nakat, Void, like some of these content creators get their hands on these new characters, figure out how broken they are in like a day, and then Tony being like, ripping his hair out again, or what little hair is left, because he's got a shaved head, right?
I think so.
Yeah, man, it sounds like the community itself is both passionate. You got some dedicated players who are also, grinding and figuring things out. So those are the kind of things you want to see, where it's like, I take that where there's situations where you have to fix some things, but you got a very both positive experience and people playing the game compared to not having enough players, like a Nick Brawl, and then you're still trying to fix issues on the side.
The local villain strikes again.
It's just
look. There's like 4 people playing Nick Brawl right now, and they all live in your house.
They actually do
in Jersey, the Jersey house.
Yeah.
No, I feel bad. I don't want to talk shit about that. It's a fine game.
Yeah, it's just some you can see what happens when you thought out everything else when it comes to adding an IP and making that the core of the experience, and when you think you can kind of just get by with what is somewhat a good idea, and not putting all that in there, like just the quote that I had earlier from David Hadid had mentioned, like IP was. If we established that IP was going to be the big thing for us, we went all out. Voice actors, making sure the characters feel like they should in their presentation. All that's important to getting people locked in early on, because people don't think about it, but even when it comes to children, like when you have established IP and it makes it feel like the stuff that they watch, they're going to get involved and play it just because.
And their character reveal trailers are like cartoons. They're exciting. They're fun to watch. And I felt that way about Smash too. Like, young kids get excited about this stuff. So I agree. Like, it's this interesting balance they're doing though. Like Steven Universe being like, I'd say one of the newer IP in this, versus like something as old as Bugs Bunny. But also both those characters appeal to kids.
Yeah.
And then you put in Bugs Bunny's best friend LeBron James, who everyone knows.
Everyone knows buddy that. over Daffy. It's just LeBron.
I'm just saying, when I think Looney Tunes, I think LeBron James.
Same. I think
not Yosemite Sam, not Foghorn Leghorn.
Nope.
Not
Tweety Bird.
Not Tweety.
I want the grandma and Tweety Bird. That should be another doubles combination. Like that'd be insane.
Great. Grandma would be great. Did you watch Space Jam 2?
Yeah.
The strap should be out of control.
Grandma had her scene.
Grandma is. I like that they gave her that too, because I'm pretty sure she had a good one in the first Space Jam as well, right? Isn't she the one that? Yeah, because she got it kind of the worst. Like when they got their asses beat, she was like in the bodysuit, like really messed up, and then she got mean.
That
Oh my
movie's
gosh.
terrible.
Yeah,
The first
we're
one?
not going to open up that
No,
can
the
of
second
worms.
one.
All right,
Second one.
we got
Yeah.
a solid 10 minutes here to
Yeah,
get into sauce talk.
Yeah, we should
Almost
just move.
quit. I thought you meant the first one. I was like, I said this is my last day.
Oh
I
no,
like
of
the
course
first
not.
one.
Because I would have had to pull out the shotgun
kidding.
out here. Look,
Especially the soundtrack. It's super not cringy now.
man. Let's
All right, man. We're not
pull
going
off-
to believe we can fly anymore. It's done. Fine.
Look, all right,
sorry.
we're gonna slide into this Wendy story first, all right? To get things out of control.
Seriously, this affects me because the romaine lettuce supply at Wendy's is tainted in the Midwest, Rod. Don't fuck with Wendy's right now, or if you do, don't get lettuce on your shit.
Yes, it is
Yeah,
indeed.
you don't got to
tainted.
tell me twice. I do not like
E. coli outbreak happening in Wendy's. This is more of a PSA than sauce talk, but we talk about Wendy's. We fuck with Wendy's here. I like
We
Wendy's.
do.
Like Wendy's is legit. I like their sweet and sour sauce. I'll fuck with their nuggets. Their fries suck, but what are you gonna do?
I think the fries actually aren't that. They're okay. They're better than Burger King, but I don't know if that's saying enough though.
That's not saying shit.
I'm about
Burger
to say,
King fries
like,
are trash.
that is.
What have I done? I'm
bar
sorry.
is low,
Burger
bro.
King. Back to that Burger King bullshit with you. But yeah, that's just a PSA. We're letting the folks know at home. If you live in the Midwest, I think it's Indiana, Michigan, Illinois,
Ohio, Indiana,
yeah.
Pennsylvania.
Okay, not Illinois. Your lettuce is clean, but we got E. coli spreading from romaine lettuce in this state, and I eat salads a lot, so I'm worried.
37 sick.
Be careful, friends.
I'm not eating at Wendy's for a little bit.
Yeah, take a little break on the Wendy's, bro. Especially any of that lettuce action.
Yeah, you could eat some nuggets from there. Probably be fine. Because that deep fry oil, like that neutralizes probably every disease. It's like 1,000 degrees.
It just cannot withstand the grease on the inside.
Like any living organism can live in that grease while it's boiling.
Yeah,
maybe I'm wrong.
Could also double as embalming fluid too.
Three in Michigan have developed a type of kidney failure apparently from the E. coli outbreak. So,
oh my god,
yeah, it's legit. It's serious thing.
Like you need to take a little time away from Wendy's. Right?
Yeah,
I think you'll be
but
all
my
right.
concern is that like if it's just showing up at Wendy's, like there's probably other fast food places that get similar supply. Mm-hmm. So it's just something to be aware of. Maybe you just go without the lettuce on your sandwiches for now. But if you're vegan, and you eat salads every day, you're shit out of luck.
You're in danger.
Just go to the grocery store.
Yeah, at that point.
Yeah. So okay, Burger King. What the fuck?
Yeah,
I know, right?
This
I wanted to. This was a joke one. Obviously, nobody should ever eat this, but it says Burger King launches a new Ice Whopper featuring a layer of shaved ice in Japan. Now, look, we get as a country get a lot of our goods from there.
How? Burger hot, ice cold, ice melt, turns into water, soggy burger. Why are they doing this?
I'm very confused. The way that it's a layer of shaved ice, on top of the pickles.
They said that the heat is on in Japan, and Burger King is responding by offering a new Ice Whopper with a layer of shaved ice to help fans beat the heat. The Ice Whopper features a classic Whopper with one extra ingredient. You guessed it, a layer of ice. It comes paired with a bottle of ice cold Coke for 1,000 yen, or about $7.39 US dollars. According to Burger King Japan's website, the Ice Whopper is available at just one pop-up location at the Morito Beach House Oasis in Hayama Town, Ryu District, Kanagawa. From what I understand, you have to pre-order the Ice Whopper for pickup on a specific day at a time. Only a limited number of Ice Whoppers are available while supplies last.
Okay,
yeah,
so
guys.
This is a beach town thing. Okay, I understand that because it's hot down there. You're talking about
you want some cold meat,
This is south of Yokohama. It's south of Tokyo. It's a hotter area. I get that. It's on the water. It's actually up against the bay, Sagami Bay.
I want to bring up that Sam in chat is said that deep fried ice cream works, so it might be good.
I mean, okay.
That's the inverse. That's
He makes a good point.
No, he doesn't. This
No?
is ice in a burger. How the fuck Whopper? When you think Whopper, what do you think? Flame broiled, like right the fucking lines on the hamburger, because it's so hot from the grill.
Yes. Those painted lines, they're so good.
Well, how are you going to put ice on a flame? That doesn't make sense.
I guess they would expect
Just
you to
give me
eat
a
it
cup of water
instantly or something.
Honestly, just give me the ice so I can dump it on my head. No, this is a terrible idea.
I guess they're like,
Yeah.
we just put this, between the other vegetables. Maybe it'll stay cool long enough for it not to melt all over your burger.
Honestly, you know what they should do? Freeze the pickles.
I mean,
Not bad
that could
start.
actually be. I'm down for cold pickles.
Right? Like a little frozen pickle on top of there. That might be refreshing. I don't know.
I actually
If
hate
global
pickles, so
warming, if this is global warming's fault, like I got nothing. I don't understand why.
if someone handed me like a burger with shaved ice melting out of it, I don't know how I would respond in that scenario.
You're like, can I get a good hamburger in return for this? Like what? That's a terrible idea. They should feel bad.
It's scary times, but we got.
That's really dumb. Like, and also like you're charging more for fucking frozen water. Like, talk about a grift. Like that's, I don't know, Rod.
Capitalism wins again.
No, this is Dikembe Mutombo. Just block the shit out of this fucking hamburger. Get the fuck out of here.
All right, we got enough time to cover this traumatic Taco Bell story because I'm very scared about.
And I brought my hat
too.
too.
So Taco Bell is testing its own meat substitute ahead of Beyond Meat launch later this year. Here's my question, guys. I thought their meat at Taco Bell was already a substitute for real
Thank
meat.
you. I was just about to say the meat is already in jeopardy. There's a lot of questions and not enough answers. What is this meat? Is it dog food? Is it regular meat?
No,
it's a plant-based
soy,
meat substitute. So it's
soy and pea protein.
This is
soy and pea protein.
They're looking to get ahead of the game. It sounds like.
And apparently they're testing it in a vegan hotbed of Birmingham, Alabama. Like, okay. I'm not sure. Oh.
That is, yeah, I don't see how this is going to go very well here. Taco Bell's new crispy melt taco made with a plant-based meat substitute.
The alternative will also be featured in the Nachos Bel Grande, so you can get a vegan or a vegetarian Nachos Bel Grande. The crispy melt taco will feature it. I'm noticing a lot of cheese with these things. They're pairing it with cheese, and we know that cheese is also a cheese substitute at Taco Bell, right? Like, there's nothing real.
Sam saying soy and pea protein is great. That's not the problem, Sam. All right.
No, Sam, that is not the problem.
The problem is,
Sam,
this is Taco Bell.
The problem is Taco Bell here.
Yes.
This is Taco Bell.
Everything at Taco Bell comes out of one gun. The Coca-Cola, the cheese, the beef, it's all one handheld gun. No, I know. There's a separate thing for Coke or Pepsi, right? But that gun, Rod, that gun's real. Is that it? Wait a second. Where'd you get that hat? Did you actually work there?
No, I just went to Five Below today, and I was like, I don't have my apron here, so I was like, I gotta at least have a hat for Sauce Talk or something. So, hey, I just, I hope my employers don't hear this.
Don't mix the streams, okay? Just make sure when you got those guns going. Your cheese gun, your meat gun, keep them separate.
Sam, fast food in America is whack. It's not that it sounds whack. It is whack. It's like rolling the dice, man. There's a good Taco Bell in every town, and there's a bad Taco Bell in every town. There's a good Denny's in town and a bad Denny's in town. And the good Denny's in my town closed, so now we only have the bad Denny's. So, like, the Taco Bell in town, it burnt down, and it was turned into a hotel.
Food was too damn fire.
Yeah, no, it was just, I don't know. We had a lot of fires here for a while.
Well, if you guys want to avoid, the tragedy of naked chalupa, as it's called here, make some solid food choices this week. Get some vegetables in your life, ones that don't involve.
But don't get the romaine lettuce from Wendy's.
Yeah,
but you can get other vegetables are cool. Yeah,
Don't
like
try the fake meat in Alabama either. Anything in Alabama is already just under investigation. Are you kidding me? Like,
I think
It's
this is,
sus.
I think this is a
This whole
very
thing
good
is
reason
sus.
why they're choosing Alabama
what
right
in the
now. I think they're definitely
right?
choosing that on purpose as far as
What
testing
in the
goes.
hills have eyes? They're like, these people don't even have taste buds. These are all the people from the hills have eyes. Just
Yeah,
feed them whatever.
so they're actually they piloted a meat substitute from peas and chickpeas in its Cravetarian taco last year, and another alternative made from pea protein and breaded to create a plant-based shell for its naked chalupa. So they have been experimenting. Look, pea protein is legit. Like, it is a legit substitute for meat protein. Everything
Yeah.
else about this I don't trust.
I mean, the
And
thing is
also,
that they're going to have the Beyond Meat product, but they're like,
Mhm.
we could do it ourselves. So then it makes you automatically think, okay, so you're saying that eating the cheaper version of this.
yeah, they're like,
How are we gonna get
how do we
cheaper?
get that extra 25 cents a taco? I know. What if we remove this one part that makes Beyond Meat not gross? It's like, okay, I'll do that. But yeah, like, Yum Brands, the company that owns KFC, Taco Bell, and Pizza Hut, they are known for experimenting, but not on the healthy side. They're experimenting with making freaking taco shells out of Doritos and, putting things together to make double downs. Like, this is a very weird direction for them. Like, I'm used to them making unhealthy things that I approve of. This is the opposite, where it's like,
Yeah.
I don't trust you guys to make healthy stuff. I trust you to make things that, like, I don't really want to eat but look kind of fun.
I don't want any Taco Bell based alchemy. All right, I don't need any kind of sorcery here or whatever sacrifices are being
Beta
made.
tester. They are beta testing in the state of Alabama. Is basically what I'm seeing, and
Which
that's
is, of
messed up.
course, where the finest of people live. Will be able to give you a good, accurate response on this food.
I just
I'm
picture
sure
some
there's
scientist
someone.
who's just like,
I don't want to drag the entire state of Alabama or the entire city of Birmingham, but like, that's a very random place to test this.
some scientist was like, they can be sacrificed.
It's like,
Right.
they're like, look, it won't spread. Like, they were like, yeah, like,
You remember the Doritos testing? Yeah, you remember how that went? Well, Birmingham is still here, isn't it? All right, we'll ship out some more meat substitute. We'll
He
cover
said,
it
if the
up like we did
zombie
before.
outbreak starts, we can stop it.
Like,
We
Yeah.
can stop it head on.
Umbrella's been busy. All right,
Could be bugs or insects. No, you're right. You can make.
some cricket.
I guess technically insects wouldn't be vegan. They're not plant based, but they are meat alternatives.
Mm.
Yeah, some solid protein, but some things that we won't be eating
Hell no.
anytime
But
soon.
be careful out there if you're a Wendy's goer. Maybe just hold the lettuce for now, especially if you live in Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Indiana. I'd be watching out in Illinois too, Denny. It's a matter of time.
I have
till
no
we-
plans on touching any Wendy's from any Midwestern area at this point because the last thing will happen is going to be, of course, it'll probably be like Labor Day weekend and there'll be like some outbreak on the news. They're like, oh, there's been 40 people have been sick from, like, yeah, that's exactly when it happens.
Yep.
Get the shipment in and someone forgot to check the box saying we should just throw this out. And the next thing you know, you got that flowing through a good 600 restaurants.
Yeah, it's been a problem. Like, I don't know. I was vegan for about like 8 years, and then I started eating chicken again. But like, this had been a problem with romaine lettuce for a while. We've had several.
You've had several outbreaks, yeah.
Yeah, E.
Even
coli
this year.
outbreaks happen. This year, it's why I don't go to Whole Foods anymore. Like, their produce section had a specific issue with food safety, and I think they're just ridiculously overpriced. It's another reason.
Asif, it's Amazon. Everything is cost efficient, right?
But like,
Right.
I worry. There was this whole like organic movement, but like some of these things were, like, some of the foods that we use like are better off with GMO in them because they prevent these kinds of things. Oranges, for instance, like, it's very hard to find organic oranges because they usually rot.
Mhm.
There was like a widespread disease, and we had to create a solution for it. So like, I get the whole non-GMO GMO thing, but like, at this point, I just don't want to get sick from trying to eat healthy. So
Very
if I
good
have to
points
eat
there as well. But you know
Yeah.
what you won't get sick from?
Shacknews Cortex.
That's right.
Heck yeah.
I won 2 days in a row. Wasn't even trying. These weekends are easy, man. Also, Lola's very cute, right? So if there is anyone out there voting, they're gonna vote for Lola. But yeah, I won I won Saturday
Yeah.
and Sunday. Hey, Mikey still won. I don't think he was even trying that hard. I think he must be seeing our streams and is like, maybe I shouldn't try as hard.
Dog yo, one
Haven't been
track.
able to reach out to him yet. But yeah, 8 Mikey won for the week with 101,307 points. That's like 60% less than last week. So maybe he was busy or something. Bill Lavoie, second place. Sam Chandler, third. Greg Burke. Greg actually won a couple days last week, which made me then use the app because I saw Greg win and I can't have that. So Greg was above me. Greg
Some
was
healthy
above me.
competition, you know.
Look, at the end of the day, it's about our total points earned. And right now, Greg has 8.2 something million. And I have. Oh my. Wait, hold on a second. Wait.
Someone's having a revelation.
Greg has. Sorry. Greg has 6.837 million. I have 8.258 million. So I'm ahead of him still. But I don't. He should not be trusted. His kit. But that. He has this picture of his kitten. Sadie, it's like OP. And then Bill also has a picture of his kitten Sadie, where she's on her hind legs, like looking like she's about to attack something. It's ridiculously cute.
It's very strong.
And also, yeah, we had Dog Nose, Shacknews chatty moderator extraordinaire, winning the whole shebang on the chatty for the week. So props to Dog Nose for that. He I don't think he has a pet, so for him to place
11,541 points. Let's go.
Yep. I mean, yeah, it's definitely a summer lull right now on Shack Pets, but it's all good. We're working on stuff. I've been using the build. It's really enjoyable, and when it's ready, we will be nonstop with promoting.
Big
that
moves
thing.
are incoming.
Yeah. So this is kind of the calm before the storm when it comes to Shack Pets. But yeah, it's a free app. It's on iOS and Android. You can download it for free today. You can upload an infinite amount of pet pictures for free. Like, I think that's kind of a huge selling point.
I mean, if you want to show off your pets without having to scroll through your gallery and all the other stuff you got going on, your downloads, or having to pull up the Instagram and then trying to get some mixed in pictures. No, you got it all in one place.
Yeah, if I pull up my Instagram to show you pet pictures, you're going to see some really offensive shit before I get to a pet picture.
Actually, same in mine. That's why I avoid the explore section in public. I'm like, there's nothing good here.
You should look at Instagram in public. But you can open Shack Pets, no problem. Like, I opened it, and I have a picture of Bucky staring at me, and he's adorable. So, yeah, if you just like dogs, cats, bunnies, whatever, that we even have a skunk on there, Shack Pets is free to download, free to use. All you need is a shacknews.com account. And if you have a shacknews.com account, you can take advantage of the rest of our platform. We have the Shacknews Chatty Forum. We have the Shacknews Cortex article system where you can write whatever you want. You can review whatever you want. You want to post a picture on Cortex, you can also do that. It's a topic-based navigation system that barely anyone uses. But, it's fun. And, there's Greg posted a Evil Dead article for people who are getting into I think there's like a new character that hit the game last week.
Yeah, we got a new character and a new demon coming fairly soon.
Yeah, Greg had 10 tips for new demon players. So if you're still playing Evil Dead or if you're checking it out, I think it was just on sale last week. There are guides on there. There's like a Dungeons and Dragons guide there. All sorts of stuff on Shacknews Cortex.
Well, I think that's going to wrap things up for this edition of Live World of Electronic Sports. It's been a pleasure as always.
Episode 146.
Yes, 146. But yes, thank you all for joining us for this episode. And of course,
we got Steve.
Yes.
We got Steve next.
Steve coming through.
I don't know what he's playing. What's Steve playing next? Let's let the folks know. Steve is playing.
What is Steve running today?
The Minish Cap. Legend of Zelda. The Minish Cap. He's been playing that on and off. Steve usually gets a couple of games going in his rotation and then spreads them out. He streams Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. at 9 p.m. So we're going to get out of his way so he can do that. But first, maybe we'll run in a little ad for Shack Pets.
Yes, sir. Enjoy that Zelda, but also enjoy Shack Pets. Click that link and join in on the fun.
We will see you next week, or probably sooner, because Denny hosts a bunch of shows.
See y'all again soon. Peace.
See you guys.